Melbourne's soul lies within these walls. The Melbourne Cricket Ground is the Coliseum where the city's legends are made. It's where 149 years ago, the game of Australian football was invented, a game of our own. Tonight, the People's Ground will tremble with the guttural roar of tribes from two of the world's oldest sporting clubs. It's the biggest team in the country against this season's best, and the winner gets one hand on football's holy grail, the AFL Premiership Cup. The end of a 44-year drought is so close Geelong can smell it. But a season of domination comes to nothing if it ends here.
Well, that was brilliant!
Collingwood's will is unstoppable. Their kids are fearless and prodigiously talented.
Nobody is up ahead. Pendlebury, the youngster, brings it and kicks the goal.
In the space of 6 days, they've eliminated the premiership teams of the last 2 years. And they're so pumped. This is turning out to be one of the great comebacks in sporting history.
Well, this will be the icing on a black and white cake.
Tonight is for the true believers of two passionate clubs. After 6 years of domination by non-Victorian teams, Melbourne once again has its September heartbeat. Hear the growl, the rumble, the passion. There's no other sound like finals fever inside football's Coliseum.
And sport's most famous cathedral has rarely looked better than it does on this Friday night. And what a night it promises to be. It's been a long wait to see two Victorian teams, big Victorian teams, in a preliminary final. Well, we have got it. Geelong and Collingwood. It doesn't get much bigger than this. Hello and welcome to the MCG. Two famous teams playing for a spot in the grand final. And with Lee Matthews, an icon of the AFL, and also David Schwartz. And Ox, can the Army, they're marching in again, Collingwood, have they got one more big one in them?
Well, Bruce, they've beaten the last two premiership teams. They're coming up against the minor premiers, and this side is very, very handy, Lee, and I reckon that they're just about up to it.
Well, they could be, but Geelong have been overwhelmingly the best team in the competition the last 3 months. I reckon they'd beat Collingwood 8 out of 10, but is tonight going to be one of the 8 or one of the 2? That's what we're here to find out.
No change to the Geelong lineup, and they've just been remarkable. 15 in a row. Just that lousy Cassisi kick that cost them, didn't it?
Well, just have a look at all the yellow here. That means that they're all Australian. The only one missing is Matty Egan. They're such a skillful, they're talented side, Lee. They've got so much depth. They can so much versatility also.
Absolutely. Well, the white could be the All-Australians. I mean, it's half the team. They've been a magnificent team all year, as we've said all along. It's a matter of where they're good defence, good midfield, good forward line. Really very, very good team.
And for Collingwood, no, Josh Fraser hasn't come up again for the second week, so some real doubt about him if they win tonight. Chris Bryant's come in.
Well, look, I don't think that's a massive blow. Bryant was really good last week, and we saw with Hansen, you take in unfit players into finals, and it's a recipe for disaster. Collingwood have, really been very cautioned here, and they have. Great decision.
But very even team. Didak and Thomas, a lot of people say they're the two most dynamic midfielders, and they're starting on interchange. It's that midfield 8 or 10 that's hard to rank in order that makes Collingwood so dangerous. Their flexibility in that part of the ground is a great strength.
Ox, what role do you think the power forwards can play tonight?
Oh, look, I think that Anthony Rocker is going to be one of those players that's going to have a big saying in tonight's game. I reckon Scarlett will go to him, and if he does, drag him to the goal square and take Scarlett out of the game, because Scarlett's run off half-back is what sets the Cats up, and he's involved in so many score launches that if Rocker is able to get back there, plus he's got the big body, a lot easier to kick them from 5 metres out too, Lee.
It's an absolute key duel, isn't it? I mean, Rocker, he ignites Collingwood, and Scarlett gives them so much run out of defence. So that duel between the big marking player and the running defender is going to be really interesting to see who comes out on top.
And Lee, Mooney's been a revelation, 60 goals for the Cats.
Well, he's the matching player up the other end for Geelong. Their power forward. Normally Shane Wakeling gets the big power forward matchup for Collingwood, but Mooney, he's just improved dramatically in 12 months. In the prime of his career, made All-Australian for the first time, been a terrific player. You see there Shane Wakeling being outbodied by Big Lynch last week, but most of the time, Wakeling is pretty good on those big body players.
Could O'Brien get that job?
Well, I think he could, but Shane Wakelin to me normally plays on the opposition power forward, so that's when I'd be thinking to be there.
Speaking of opposition as a coach, when you look at the midfield, what do you look for?
Well, the primary creators, I call them, that one thing you start off is who is the opposition player most dangerous with ball in hand. We're going to try and stop him. Take a pick at Geelong. I would take Ablett. I think he is still the one with time and space that destroys you the most. Collingwood don't really have a predominant stopper. Sometimes the young Irishman Clark takes that particular role, but Alan Didak, of course, I think he is the one for Collingwood. If he gets the ball in his hands as he did in the second half last week, Ox, then the opposition are going to be in trouble.
Well, it was a bit of a surprise too. It was back to the form of the early part of the season, but they put him in the midfield. He got his hands on the footy, Lee, and you're right. They'll have to put a very good player on him, because when he gets up and going and his confidence is there, gee, he can turn it on.
He ignites a team and ignites a crowd.
Well, what a season it's been for Collingwood. Their two teenagers, Pendlebury and Clark, have been so important to them. In fact, it was those youthful legs that made a difference.
He's the story of the year, isn't he, Clark? And, of course, their leaders, Nathan Buckley back in the side, that's a story in itself. This is a young side on the march. They have so much belief in one another. Oh, it's going to be a very...
They have been good. It's been an amazing story of how much inexperience within that side to get this far into a season.
And isn't that a great shot? The champ leading them out.
Yep.
The quintessential footballer, isn't it?
He's got two experienced blokes beside him.
Nathan Buckley there from the captain. Let's go to the coach, Mickey Malthouse, with Ricky Olorenshaw.
Raw footy experience. Well, the preliminary finals are. It's no use getting to them and losing them. So it's one of those games. The boys, it's up to them now. They know they're ready to play. It's they've earned the right. Whether you finish 1 or 6 and you get to this game, that's it. You're even. And our blokes, from the 35-year-old skipper to Scotty Penry at 19, they've all got their own individual methods of getting here, but they've all got the one goal.
And how do you beat Geelong? What's been your focus pre-game?
Being Collingwood, just being us. I mean, we're not going to be anyone else. We're not going to invent anything different. We've got here because we've worked hard together, and I don't see any reason now to start changing things around.
Well, you've been in good form, mate, so good luck tonight. Cheers, Mickey.
He knows what it takes to get to a grand final. What about Chris Bryan? What a 12 months for him coming from Carlton.
It's an incredible story, isn't it, really? Got the call up and has maintained his spot with the absence again of Josh Fraser. Is there something of Josh Fraser type ruck? More a key position player who plays ruck, but can be a dangerous forward, but a fill-in ruckman with Guy Richards in this team.
And Knox, I guess the fairy tale tonight for Collingwood surrounds this bloke, Buckley.
Well, 35 years of age. We've seen Robert Harvey go on for another year. Everybody would love to see this bloke go on. He may not. It may be his last game. He may have one more. We don't know. But what a story.
And suddenly leave for Geelong. They've had a cushion for 10 weeks. They knew they were top. Yeah. Even against the Kangaroos, they could afford to have lost because they weren't out. Tonight, there's no tomorrow if they go down.
Yeah, very different from the second week of the finals. It's knockout territory, and one slip-up. Doesn't matter how good you've been for the last 3 months. The scoreboard will be 0-0 at the start of the game, and can they find a way to win?
And that's what Mick said. Doesn't matter if you finish 1 or 6. The winner tonight, well, they're in.
Start afresh.
Big job tonight, Cameron Ling. He'll get the big prime mover for the Pies. Whether they rate Swan, whether it's Buckley, whether it's whoever it is, he'll get the number one bloke that they think is going to get their hands on the footy.
Here they come, the Cats. about Nathan Buckley's leadership qualities? Tom Harley, hasn't he stepped up to the mark?
Has been wonderful. I saw him lead the team out and he just took the deep breath before he stepped onto the grass, and that's what it's all about. Well, here we go, fellas, and his stability, his composure and his leadership has been a magnificent progression, I think, in why Geelong has become such a terrific team this season.
Again, from the captain to the coach, Tim Watson with an old premiership mate of his.
In the Geelong rooms with Bomber Thompson, it's been a long 2 weeks. Are they ready to go?
Yeah, we are. Look, we've got an unchanged side, so we've enjoyed the week off and we're ready to play tonight.
What about the conditions? Has that changed anything for you in the pre-planning?
Not much, but probably just slightly adjust the way you play if it does rain, but the boys are well versed in that. We've played in a bit of rain this year and we're ready for that too.
And what about Cameron Ling? Who does he go to tonight?
Oh, Tim, I can't say that. Ask me another question quickly. I've only got 30 seconds.
Okay, well, good luck tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really ferocious start, not unlike probably the Kangaroos start a couple of weeks ago.
Well, that's what you'd expect, and we all know it's a preliminary final knockout and there's huge consequences, so yeah, we're ready for that.
Good luck.
Okay.
He's pretty relaxed, so who does Ling go to?
Well, I reckon you go to Swan, maybe Didac, depending on where they line up, but it'll be one of those two, Lee.
And it'd spoil your night when he come and stood next to you. I think whoever he goes to, I think that Collingwood player will go and play as a permanent forward. Because I think they might want to get... They don't want Ling in the Geelong's forward line because he can be a goal kicker, but get him and make him play as a defender.
We were talking about Gary Ablett only a moment ago, Lee. If Gary Ablett's not getting it, you know this bloke's going to get a fair bit of it too, and don't be surprised if you see Cameron Ling taking him at some point throughout the evening.
Well, they've almost been equal favourites for the Brownlow medal, so Ablett, Bartel, Corey, Young, Selwood, they've got a really top midfield group.
So everything's in readiness for what should be, dare I say, a special night at the MCG. Playing for a place in the grand final. Have a look at the G tonight. We're back with the opening bounce right after this.
Away. Ablett, this is the reason they're premiership favourites.
Good looking kick. He just does everything so well, doesn't he? Gary Ablett takes your breath away, doesn't he? It's ridiculous to compare him with his father, but I reckon it's fair to say he does his bit as well as his dad did his bit.
So the Brownlow medal coming up on Monday night, and there's our favourite, Gary Ablett Jr. 32 possessions against the Magpies back in round 15. Certainly a big night tonight for two 19-year-olds, Joel Selwood and, of course, Scott Pendlebury. They finished first and second in the Nat Rising Star Award. Selwood born in May of 1988 and Pendlebury in January of the same year. And you get the feeling neither club would like to swap. The Magpies, who back in round 15 lost to the Cats by 16 points. It's a very cold night. Breeze coming across the ground. But just at the moment, no rain. Hopefully that remains the case. What thoughts racing through his mind? Nathan Buckley, one of the all-time greats. Craig Willis, our master of ceremonies, to introduce the national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian Football League and Premier Partner Toyota welcome you to tonight's first preliminary final here at the MCG. As we stand for the Australian national anthem, let us pause to remember Hall of Fame member, Brownlow medalist and Collingwood champion Len Thompson.
A real sense of occasion. Massive crowd, sold out. The MCG on a Friday night, the winner to go on to the grand final against tomorrow's winner, Tim Watson. What a build-up this game has had.
It's been a magnificent build-up. All the talk has been about the Cats and what we saw of them 2 weeks ago. You would think that nobody would be capable of beating them, but the Collingwood side knows that they don't play that Geelong side of 2 weeks ago. They play the team that actually turns up tonight representing Geelong. And after 2 weeks of absorbing all that positivity, you just wonder whether or not they've been able to keep their focus.
They flew back under the radar, Collingwood, after the game last week. Toss of the coin.
Tail.
First blood to the Cats. Tom Harley. They will go to the right of screen. Let's go down to Rick Olorenshaw. Rick.
Thank you, Dennis. With a big loss to the Magpies tonight is Josh Fraser. He's missing tonight's game with a bulging disc in his back. The decision was made this morning not to play. So obviously Josh was devastated not to be playing in tonight's big game. On the weather, we had a bit of rain pre-game. The surface is pretty slippery, but I had a look at the radar. It's pretty clear, and we're expecting no more rain for tonight's game.
Missed last week in the team on Thursday night. Misses again this week. The umpires tonight, this would be a first. McBurney, McLaren and McInerney. Well, we needed some bagpipes. So, the talk is over.
I nearly got a run. McAvenny. And they all start with, their first names are all S.
Oh, eerie. Well, what about this? So much talk during the week. Now that talk stands for naught. We're about to play for all the marbles.
Nathan Buckley going forward alongside Rocker. Cloak, Swan going forward too. Rusling will play out of the goal square and Medhurst at ground level. Ling going to Dane Swan again as he did last time. Kept him to 14 possessions, Cameron Ling, when they last met on July 14. And Cameron Ling had 19. More importantly that night, though, he kicked 2 goals when he went forward too. So they may try and keep him at that end of the ground tonight.
Cam Mooney cracking a smile. Going down to the goal square at the other end. Anthony Rocker so important in that third term last week. The preliminary final. Umpire McLaren gets us underway and a good bounce to start proceedings. Ottens knocks it down. Lockyer got the arms free. Ottens got him in the back, says the umpire.
Target Lockyer now.
Lockyer has had a wonderful season. Looks down towards half forward. Kicks to the 50. In from the side, Harley. Geelong well represented. In front, Burns slaps it across to Medhurst. Swan charges through. Rocker brilliantly smothered off the boot down there by Bartell. Swan another chance. Davis missed it. Picked up by Enright. Slips a hand pass away. Joel Corey out of defence. Back towards the wing. Juggled mark is taken by Clement. Get the bagpipes out, Brucey.
It's got the job on Johnson. He recovered from a slow start last week. Harley misses it. Just a little bit slippery there. Heathshaw hooks it back to the goal square. Scarlett, no free kick. Look for it. Rocker, ball still in play. And free kick to Rocker.
Kicking in, dangerous free kick.
Already, Harley, who's playing on Medhurst, has come off him twice to compete in the air. Now, if Medhurst doesn't get dangerous tonight, the other forwards are going to be competing with Harley in the air.
Well, he had a quiet night, Rocker, last week, but he kicked 3. He kicked 6 against Sydney in the first of the finals. If he goals here, it'll equal his best ever for season 55. But more importantly, it'll give the Pies the perfect start. But he hasn't done that. Tough shot first up.
At the other end of the ground, Wakeland's gone to Mooney, Maxwell to Ablett, O'Brien to Chapman, and Clement to Stevie Johnson, the dangerous forward.
Hunt to bring it in. Magpies by a point. Kicks well outside the 50. Big leap at the back. Clement almost juggled the mark. Wojcinski left it behind. Clement advances at 10 metres. Buckley Sweeping hand pass in the wrong direction, but direct to Burns. His kick inside the forward 50, missed by Harley once more. Socket off the ground by Scarlett and out of bounds.
There he is again. That's the third time he's gone in the air, Harley, and come off Medhurst. There's the contest. That's a critical one between Rocker and Scarlett.
So the Pies deep in attack. Otten's all over Richards. Ling went to ground. Again slippery. Otten's hands and knees. Burns a chance here. Hooks it back. It's close. It's a goal.
That's a great result. They looked sharp early. They'd had 11 possessions already to Geelong's 3. Here's the work at the stoppage we see there. Dane Swan again. He's going to get busy, and he already has in the early part of this game. I think that's a really good move there from Mick Malthouse to send him forward once that he drew Cameron Ling. Cameron Ling has now been turned into a defender, and he doesn't have the pace to go with Dane Swan at those critical contests.
An old dog. Hurting the Cats first up. 7 points the margin. What a player he's been, the South Australian. Scott Burns, clever goal. All Collingwood so far. Play restarts.
Play on now.
The ruckman touched it. Falls to Davis. Collingwood again advance. Buckley missed the chest mark, recovers, lays it off. Taken by Shaw. Chips it inside the forward 50, out of bounds on the fall. Despairing lunge by Swan.
Getting busy though, Swan, getting off Ling again, leading to the ball.
Harley, a nervous kick to no one in particular. Shaw got it from Clement, touched off the boot, hangs a long time in the air. Bartell came hard, committed, fell to Chapman, chips it up towards the wing, taken by Johnson. Johnson hooks it down towards half forward, gathered brilliantly by Nathan Ablett. In right on the burst. This is more like it. Long down towards full forward. Mooney almost should have got a free kick. Loose ball. Comes to Stokes. Goes in and gets the goal.
And that's Geelong at their best. They swept that ball from half back. They were able to get the numbers. Stevie Johnson just ducked out the back after the contest to provide a target. There's a critical contest at the edge of the goal square. Probably a free kick there to Geelong, but they've got enough numbers at ground level. There's Wojcinski going in hard. He collected Goldsack then around the hip. He's still in the hands of the trainers. We see again Wakeling going in with his leg. He was lucky not to get that chopped off.
Stokes played 2 of the first 6 games this season. He's played the last 18. He's now kicked 30 goals for the year. He's been one of the bonuses for the Cats in this stellar season. So Geelong on the board. They needed it.
Got hold of him. No, you grabbed him first, Scott. You grabbed him before he grabbed you.
Marty Clark's got a big job tonight. He's gone to Ablett.
And speaking of Ablett, Tim, he gets it from Corey. He does that so well, Ablett. And then Ottens to Kelly in short. Missed by Mooney, hard ball. Kelly gets it back. He's about 50 metres from home. He's in strife now. Gets the handball to Chapman. And then Chapman goes to the goal square. Difficult ball. Maxwell at the back. He's got some support. Lockyer and Davis. Davis away.
A second bounce at the defensive 50. Pulls it back towards the middle. Clever kick. Cloak on the lead. Has it inside the centre square. Looking down towards half forward, goes directly. Rocker's got the set. Well done in front, knocked away by Hunt, taken by Scarlett. Kelly's got some time, took most of it, still going. Spots a man, Corey up ahead, nobody near him. Corey can go. Looks inside the forward 50. Mooney! 5 goals in the qualifying final.
If those passes don't stick when Collingwood go into their forward line, they don't actually control the ball or put pressure on Geelong, they'll sweep it out. They've already done it on 2 occasions tonight. Didak coming onto the ground now. Buckley having a rest. Thomas coming on too. So some more pace for the Magpies.
They kick this one. Mooney misses. Scores 11.
He's the trivia question tonight, isn't he? The only premiership player out there on either team. With the Kangaroos back in '99, an unforgettable moment to win the premiership, but He had a quiet day. Clement wide to Lockyer.
Cameron, you got it.
Collingwood made 3 interchanges at once. They broke the barrier, didn't they, in Perth with 101 last week. Unheard of numbers, really.
88 in regular time.
His Didac got squeezed up a bit, that kick into the centre. And Geelong again getting it away. Wajinski's kick to Chapman. He kicked 5 along with Mooney in that first final, the qualifier. Good kick. And Ottens' hands were excellent. It's what they did against the Kangaroos so successfully, Tim. They were able to bounce off halfback disputed ball so often.
They've just got to control the ball tonight, Collingwood, better than what they have on those last couple of occasions. If they're going to stay wide, they've got to create those pockets that they can actually lead up into, but they've got to maintain possession.
So basically straight in front. Kicks from just inside the 50. It's from the textbook.
Well, you would think that Ottens is going to be the dominant big man on the grounds. We see Geelong going forward again. Chapman, who's been busy, just surveying his options and then just putting the ball back in a really high percentage position there for Ottens to take control of the ball. But he can go forward and kick goals, Ottens, at different stages of tonight. They'll interchange him. Blake will come onto the ground and he'll actually be positioned, I would think, in the goal square.
The goal, then off the ground. Kelly off as well. Margin 6 points.
Block him, Harry. Easy off the square too.
Umpire McInerney bouncing first class so far. Didac sharking the knock, goes to half forward, Cloaks in front. Strong grab. He's about 65 metres out. Lockyer wanting the ball, didn't see him, goes long down towards full forward. Rocker 2-on-1 off hands against the behind post.
That's a better result than a point though for Collingwood. They scored a goal last time they were in this range.
So boundary throw in. Blake and Bryan, the 2 understudies. Interesting stuff. Corey, dangerous place to leave it. Over the ball was Rocker. Rusling attracts a crowd, down he went. Corey goes back to Milburn and Blake decides discretion is the best part of things.
Scarlett gets it short. And then to centre wing. Not a great kick. Shaw, who started brightly enough early. And then in short. First real look at Pendlebury. Kick doesn't find its mark. Rocker has 4 cats around him, and then Scarlett to set Chapman up. This is the danger. Chapman, well done though, cut off by Maxwell. He's a brave player. Handball though to a contest, picked off brilliantly by Ablett. Sees Stokes, waits, bounce. Does he use the man running past? No, he goes for goal and misses. He had Burns all alone outside of him.
And that's where they are so dangerous on a turnover. That kick from Pendlebury should have hit Rocker. He was all alone. He got off Scarlett. They just have to stick those.
Wakelin drives it to the wing. Thomas. Johnson closing, not in time. Thomas to Clement. Runs beyond the wing. Sets it high down towards Swan, and that's a good grab.
That match working okay for the Magpies, that matchup.
Yes, Swan has started well. Goes down towards the pocket. Rocker again. The meat and the sandwich was a touch, I'm not sure. Pushed across the line by Joel Corey, who's been in everything. But the margin is 5 points. Bartell. Short of half back.
Once again, Rocker, though, competing with 2 players in the air.
Johnson let it bounce. O'Brien got a hand to it. Johnson goes again with support. Rook on the wing towards half forward. Burns couldn't hang on. Finds it on the ground. Lays it off. Ablett collides with Shaw. Burns hard against the boundary to Rook. Oh, down he goes. Goldsack got him. Forced the error. Didac comes away.
To Buckley. Buckley wants to go inside, but Burns was covered, and then Buckley's left foot again misses the target. Great pick up by Hunt to Ablett. Through the centre corridor, we've seen so much of this. Blake nimble to Rook. He's been brought down a second time. They've buried him.
Buddy Burns.
Max.
That is a magnificent tackle.
Done with feeling.
Maxwell was terrific. He approaches tackling like some people approach chocolate. Buckley towards half forward. Lockyer finds it on the ground. Feeds it back. Swan. Now a chance for Clark. Here's Burns, who was upended in the backwash of that tackle. Goes longer, full forward. Didn't look that time. Harley goes back. Takes the mark. Plays on. Drives it towards the wing. Will it get there in time? Stokes will get a free kick. Didak was bearing down. Not a bad free to give. Stokes.
We don't want to sound like a broken record in the early part of this game, though, but they've got to show far more composure, Collingwood, when they go forward. This is the #1 defence in the competition. They'll just keep picking you off if you bomb the ball in there.
Stokes finds Mooney, who finds Bryan. Goes down towards the pocket, working off his marker down there, Johnson, almost the mark. Clement, terrific tackle. Over the football short, plenty of desperation in that pack. Down goes Rook. Clement took him down. O'Brien on Chapman. What a contrast in all respects, including here. Boundary throw in.
They've been playing a really open forward line too. The Cats just 4 inside the 52 up the ground.
I reckon Max Rook's playing with a target on his back, don't you? Every time he's got near it, they've hammered him. Here's Chapman. It won't worry him, by the way. Chapman's kick to a 1-on-1 in the goal square. Lockyer stood up well against Wojcinski. Burns clever to Wojcinski. Wojcinski back to Burns. Burns runs in, check side. That would have been some goal. So much poise under pressure, Geelong. One of their trademarks this year. They make good decisions under the pump.
Hold Shannon, don't grab him, please.
Burns has got it, back pocket.
Still mine,
Midway through the term.
Hold.
The Chapman-Harry O'Brien matchup would be worrying them in the Collingwood box too. Chapman's already had 5 touches.
Play on.
Davis towards the wing, out of bounds on the full.
Give it back now. Give it back, thank you.
Careless.
Nathan,
Selwood.
Nathan. Got to start outside the line.
It's coming back. So a brief interlude.
Heater, don't hold, Heater. Let go.
Selwood
Fine.
goes again inside the forward 50. Davis with wonderful courage coming back. Not sure he knew it was Mooney. If he did, wonderful courage.
He called it correctly too. He knew he was sitting in the hole, Davis.
Richards and Ottens. Ottens lays it off brilliantly to Ablett. And Ablett's snapped from about 35 metres behind.
That's a beautiful tap then, isn't it? A beautiful palm of the ball there by Ottens. Watch this again. Clark, who's the tagger, went the wrong way.
So Buckley from the kick in. That's a good kick. Shaw, such an important player for Collingwood. And that's slack, isn't it? Didn't get back off the mark. Rook was able to pin him off. Gee, Rook's had a real embarrassing moment. Gets back to Burns, back to Corey, a bit up and under. Johnson worked underneath it. And Goldsack getting a compliment from the umpire as well as the mark. Clement, now it opens up for the Pies.
Didak, so good last week. Kicks down towards half forward. Strong grab. Swan. He's a good player.
This is his 5th disposal already, Swan.
Career high last week. Close to 40. Goes short. Here's Cloak.
I wonder how long Bomber Thompson will persevere with Ling on Swan as a half-back. I wouldn't think so long. He hasn't touched the ball yet, Cameron Ling. He's had 5 disposals against him. And Swan can be that target when they go forward by getting off Ling because he's just got too much pace for him from a dead lead.
Travis Cloak. 20 goals this season from set shots. Kicks from 55. And tugs it way right. It's out of bounds on the full. Not his best effort there. Hunt. Normally a long kick. Decides to go short. Cameron Ling back to Hunt to utilise that long kick. And he does this time. Opens things up. Ablett. That's in Ablett. Just shy of the wing. This is G. Ablett, confronted by O'Brien. That's H. O'Brien, not O'Brien. Down towards half forward, off hands, and the ball is out of bounds right half forward.
Lynn coming off the ground now. Swan already off the ground. Only plays about 67% of the game, Dane Swan. Ball magnet when he's out there.
O'Brien into the front. Ottens did pretty well, and then Bartel read it best and uses Stokes, who's had a very bright start. Just tried to do too much there, Pendlebury and Kelly.
But he had to hold on to the ball because there was nothing moving for him. Ablett was stationary. Mooney was stationary. They were signalling for him to actually kick the ball long, but there was nothing to go to.
So Richards and again O'Brien, third man up, but Ottens to have the last say. Clark got a hand to it and then worked out with Pendlebury, and then Goldsack's kick. They probably want the line here, Collingwood, and they get it.
In general play, they've been all right, Collingwood. In fact, they've taken the ball inside 50 11 times to 8, so they just haven't had the composure when they've gone forward, and their field kicking's been astray too.
Corey, Bartel, Selwood just loops it over the top. Pendlebury gets back, in trouble too. Clark, all the youngsters in there representing both teams. Corey eventually knocked it out. Bartel knocks it forward. Johnson, Ablett, brilliant. He beat a quality player in Clement, went looking for his brother. It's 2-on-1. Kelly got a man on the ground, well played. Mooney treads the weight, fantastic, kicked it into an opponent. Ricochets to Stokes, snaps, a despairing stretch on the line. Sure, not quite tall enough.
Mooney's still in the hands of the trainers there. Stokes, his second goal tonight. He's a dangerous small forward. Here's Ablett. This is what really got it going, because he was able to get around that tackle of Clement, who's a really strong player too, but he's able to just shake his hips, Ablett. There's the contest, and they've been able to penetrate the Collingwood forward line, the Collingwood defence, get the ball really deep. Great pressure there, and Stokes just sitting on his own at the top of the square.
2 goals to Stokes. Very lively. Collingwood would love a Medhurst or somebody at the other end doing something similar. So Geelong now getting away on the board. Collingwood got the first goal, remember, through Burns, and now Geelong have kicked the last 3. Had enough of the footy, Collingwood. They just can't use it through half forward. Otten's playing a big opening term. Hooks back inside the 50. Mooney gave Wakeland a bit of a shove. Wakeland goes again, did well to Goldsack, to Clement, who loves to play the sweeping role. Stokes came at him, Clement did very well. Aubrey the target.
Yep, let's go.
That's a lovely 52. There's the mark, there's the contact. There wasn't a lot in that. Aubrey just signalling to the umpire. I'd like to be a little bit closer to goal if you don't mind.
Got his wish, Tim. Now needs to kick it from about 30 metres out. Dead in front. Hammers it home. That's a good break for Collingwood.
Excellent break, but at the moment they've got one really big problem, I think, Collingwood, and that is the fact that Ottens has been such a dominant big man on the ground, and they've had literally nothing from their 2 big ruckmen in Richards and also Bryan. Good play there by Clement to get off half back, and he had the option out wide. He just chose to get the ball in there to Aubrey, had to put a little bit of elevation on it, and Selwood just a little bit over enthusiastic there to affect the spoil.
Margin 7 points, Rigola Renshaw.
Well, Cameron Mooney has come to the bench after being poleaxed into the goalpost. He's complaining of soreness around his ribs and his kidneys. He's had it assessed by the doctor, but he appears to be okay.
Ottens has now gone forward in the goal square. Blake will take the ruck.
Back in the middle, almost on the ground. Bryan tried to take it, eventually fed back by the Cats. Chapman comes up to try and go forward, but
wrapped up, mine.
he's going nowhere.
Thanks, Chappie.
So a bounce, the attacking side of the centre circles. The Magpies, Michael Malthouse coaching in his 38th final. Getting back across half-back Selwood, anxious to make amends. Now Scala towards the wing, clever use of the body by Swan. She's a good player now, Swan. Went back to O'Brien. He was a journeyman a couple of seasons ago. Swan O'Brien's kick goes inside the forward 50. Rocker knocked away by Scarlett. Milburn, oh, clever. Knocked it forward. Taken by Burns. Goes back to Mackey. Nothing on down the ground. Has to go back to the pocket. Harley. Across the face of goal, this is Milburn. The veterans combine. Darren Milburn. What a servant of the Cats he's been. Pushing up the ground. Just shy of the wing. Kicks towards half forward. Bartel locks up with O'Brien and ghosting in behind. No problem at all for Maxwell.
That's a real win for Collingwood. They had man on man all over the ground. They weren't able to find a spare player when Geelong went forward.
It's a clever kick by Maxwell in the end. He had Thomas with fast legs running to a space. It's the first time, Tim, that Geelong have sort of gone forward without real method, isn't it? Collingwood holding them up.
They're good at this too, the Pies. Just playing it up the boundary line.
Jacori was good though. He just got the finger in, and then Chapman is having some sort of opening term. Back to Corey. Ling, who's gone forward. Swan, what an effort. Again, Lockyer got it from Thomas. Lockyer normally a good kick. Rusling, was he tripped? It looked like it. Clark couldn't get into the contest. Burns held him out. Kelly gets it from Hunt, and then Kelly squares it to the runner Burns. Back to Kelly. Clark will go hard at him. Kelly and Clark. Clark sort of won it back. Kelly got it. Back to Kelly. Terrific contest. Stokes, well done. Ripped off it by Rusling.
That's a really poor effort there by Rusling. He had to go lower and he had to go harder than that. In the end, he gave away a soft free kick.
So many of his mates had done such hard work before that.
That really was hard work from both clubs on the outer side there. Kelly and Stokes working overtime. The Stokes kick goes down towards the pocket.
Just be careful, Nick. Ball's out of bounds. Don't touch him. Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
Here we go. Here's the Mooney injury. There he goes, crashing into the post. In the hands of the trainers for a while after that, and then off the ground.
Here's Ablett after the boundary throw in. Selwood under pressure, gets the kick off, and what a good kick it was too. And what a clever mark. Stokes, not much to stretch, but he was at full stretch. He'll line up at his third.
There's a punch there. Ablett again just sharking the knock. And this bloke just has the ability to get off his direct opponent. He's been in good form all year. In fact, he's probably almost been the surprise packet of their forward line.
Matthew Stokes, 27 metres out. How's that for precision? And he comes. He's got 3 goals. He'll remember this term for a while.
It was a really disappointing effort. I know Rusling out there on the wing a moment ago. They'd worked so hard at the contest to try and win the ball back, Collingwood. And then for him just to give away a soft free kick, that enabled Geelong to actually shoot the ball forward again. But they're going to have to sit on Stokes and try and take this little fellow out of the game. He's the one that's bobbing up at the moment and causing all sorts of damage.
So for the 4th time this year, he gets 3 in a match, but he's got it in the opening term. 5 against the Dockers. There's been some good players in this opening term, but Stokes has been the man, hasn't he, with 3 goals in just over 20 minutes of footy.
Just the openness at the moment of Geelong's forward line and how compacted at the moment Collingwood's is.
Brian gets over the top of Blake. Selwood just had a miss. Clark, a couple of teenagers together. Lockyer got it from O'Brien. Has to hook back to half forward. Didak and Kelly, and now Mackey to get back. Still with Mackey. He's got a bit of time. They love to come to the corridor.
Hit the ground, hit the ground.
It's gone, Johnson.
Right footy. Hit the ground, Stephen. Hit the ground. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Joel. Thank you, Joel.
Medhurst marching Harley to the goal square.
Johnson determined that it didn't hit the ground. Buckley held up by Enright. Blake threw it away in the end.
Just here, please. Quick, Chris. Just here, please, Stephen.
So Maxwell, the free kick. Good looking kick, or too wide in the end for Rusling. Rusling in the pocket, brought down by Hunt.
Out of bounds, throw it in.
Thought when he kicked it was the right move because Rusling was on his own, but didn't quite get the target.
That's been the story of the first quarter.
Rusling had his problems with Chick last week. Rocker put the body in. Bartell picks it up. Pendlebury got on the end of it. Socked away by Corey. Left behind by Didak. Kelly. Scarlett at half-back, just under 2 minutes till quarter time. Oh, a big leap by Mooney. Hands to it, couldn't hang on. Johnson kept coming. Goldsack's got it now, though. Towards half-forward Blake. Took his eyes off it as he went back. Chance for Davis. Davis spins through. Drops it on the boot and misses. Well, he did the tough stuff.
And Rocker throws his hands in the air. He was free. This is a big leap by Mooney. Drew 3 players to the ball. There were 3 Geelong players at ground level then had they been able to find the ball in their hands. Goldsack, good. Getting the ball on quickly.
It's interesting with Rusling too, Tim. A strong body Chick last week, a strong body tonight with Hunt. Needs to make a mark tonight. Enright's kick to centre wing's a beauty. Mackie, such an attacking defender, and then goes to the goal square. Ottens with a shove free kick.
Push out! That was push out there, thanks, Brad. Thank you.
They like that match-up, though. Clement undersized against Ottens.
So Clement wide to Lockyer. Quickly over the top to Goldsack. Little kick okay to Didak. So Collingwood building. Didak decides to load up. Rocker the target. Punch away by Hunt. Scarlett in trouble, did very well. Harley, again well done, Bartell.
Wonderful hand pass back to Bartell, but the kick affected by the fact he slipped over. Wojcinski gives away a free. Buckley kept going. Pendlebury 35 metres out. This would be a big goal. No, it slews away behind.
It's a hard defence to break down, isn't it? Just Scarlett in that last contest with Rocker actually locked his arm up. It wasn't a free kick. He just did it so beautifully just to make sure that Rocker couldn't contest the ball in the air.
Mackie to Bartell. Just get the feeling they've got to go to an alternative or two. At the moment it's high to Rocker. So much confidence with the Cats just going to him en masse. Medhurst, for one, needs to find something in the second term. Collingwood not far off the pace, but far enough. They could ill afford the same thing to happen in the second term. 4-4 plays 2-5. This is finals football.
Time in the preliminary final, Geelong by 11 points over Collingwood. Stokes with 3 first quarter goals. But Lee and Ox, it was a big man from Geelong that set them going early.
It certainly was. It was Brad Ottens. He got his hands on the footy. They knew he was going to be dangerous. No Josh Fraser in the side. And Ottens did exactly what they needed to do, Lee, and that was to mark the ball inside and also got his hands on plenty of hits.
He's the class ruckman on the ground, and he's certainly been very good. He's one of the few ruckmen who can go forward and really take a mark, kick a goal. So he is the class ruckman. He's shown it in the first quarter.
And they've been using the third man up here, the Pies, just to counter that. Richards and Bryan, not one possession between them in the first quarter.
So Michael Moldhouse there with his troops. Just those last words, we go down to Ricky Olorenshaw. And Rick, for one of the few times this year, Cameron Ling probably had the match up in the end that didn't suit him.
Yeah, he's had a tough first quarter playing on Dane Swan. And Bomber Thompson did grab Cameron Ling and spend a fair bit of time on him one-on-one. Just wants a bit more out of Cameron Ling. And also when he goes across half-back to try and push up the ground. Mick Moldhouse, who's pretty happy with his charges. One thing he did say, they are getting the ball a lot more into the 50 than Geelong, but he wants them to stop bombing the ball on Rocker's head. He wants them to try and hit up some more free targets.
Good on you, Rick. Interesting too that Bartell, Kelly and Corey have each had 8 possessions. And Stokes and Burns, a couple of the lesser lights, have had 7 apiece. So plenty of run, plenty of ball for the Cats so far. Anthony Rocker, a couple of great fullbacks in consecutive weeks. Last week, Darren Glass. This week, Matthew Scarlett. Umpire McBurney about to bounce it to start the second term. Cats lead it by 11. One down by Ottens. Through the fingertips there of Ablett, who found it on the ground somehow and kicks it inside the forward 50. Bounces Goldwood. Strength by Shaw. Goes towards the outer side wing, and Thomas hasn't seen it much so far. Just pops it on the boot. Gets 20. And finds Buckley. Buckley from the wing towards half forward. Cloak on a searching lead. Big height advantage on Milburn. Close to the boundary. Kicks it towards the pocket from behind Swan. Had it knocked away. Joel Corey, 9 possessions now. Back to the wing. Mackey in best position to mark, and he does. Over quality opposition. Mackey towards the middle. Johnson calls a teammate and Stokes out. Took the mark. Goes inside the 50. Ablett. Oh, that was more a catch than a mark. The hands were there first. Puts it high towards the kickoff line. It floats to the square. Down goes Mooney. No free kick.
You stopped here. The ball landed there. That's fine. Throw it in.
Well, as you can see, he should have got a free kick. But the Cam just bit his tongue last season. He would have been talking about bad feng shui. Those words didn't cross his lips. Here's Thomas out of the back pocket. Goes short. Clark's got it now.
Clark with the early job on Stokes in this quarter. So a move there. Goldsack had him in the opening term. So Thomas, as Dennis said, quiet start, but building perhaps here. Richards, first disposal for a Collingwood ruckman tonight. Back to Thomas. Back to Clement. That touched the ground. He may have to go to Wakeland. He's got Buckley. Does he take Mooney on? He does.
Gee.
And then comes wide and finds Shaw.
This is where they like to play their footy, though, up and down the flanks, Collingwood. Setting up those leading targets.
Cloak, who kicked 4 goals against the Cats in round 15 in that low-scoring encounter. Some famous names there, Cloak and Shaw, but another turnover from another famous name in Ablett to Mackey, and that's the difference at the moment, finding a target. Mooney, he's got an open goal square, decides to go wide. Johnson, his target, Clement with him, and Collingwood off the hook there.
I think there might be a message going out to Heath Shaw. Forget about the one back inside. Here's their real problem. Ox and Lee talked about that at quarter time. Just Ottens at the stoppage in the forward pocket.
Didn't touch it that time, but Kelly did. Quickly onto the ball. Johnson deep in the pocket. Boot to ball, out of bounds on the full. Great pressure from Clement. 28 plays 17. Early going second term. Winner goes to the grand final. Loser goes home. Shaw comes away to the defensive 50. Pinpoint accuracy. Lockyer. Mooney works the mark. Lockyer in short, back towards the middle, and Clark, early bounce alongside the centre circles, pops it up, and that's a strong mark to Rusling.
That's a great sign for Rusling. Great kick then too by Clark, just to give a dinky kick.
Buckley wants it wide. That's ignored. He goes in the opposite direction. Rocker checks off the ball. Scarlett there step for step. Clever by Didak. Buckley pulls it back and misses narrowly.
That was extraordinary play there by Alan Didak.
Not only the vision, but then
the execution of it.
The execution.
He's a talent.
Bartel on the run to Wojcinski, to Mackey, to Stokes. Back to Bartel. There was a free kick there, but Geelong getting the advantage. Milburn at centre wing. Goes down the line. Kelly against Shaw. Gee, Kelly did well there. Shaw had worked him underneath, but he got an arm to it, and unfortunately for him, the ball out of play.
So they work hard for each other too. Geelong. Ling lost Dane Swan a moment ago. Enright was happy to pick him up for him.
Cats bench there. Selwood and Rook and Blake going for a run. Corey gets it back. Burns worries him out of it. Back to Ablett.
Ablett lays it off Bartell. Moments ago, the first man into double figures in terms of possessions. There's his 12th, and it's marked by Clement. He's been very good. He's closed Johnson down so far. Just pops it inside the defensive 50 still. Swan to Wakelin. Now Lockyer. Short one to Buckley. Just the defensive side of the wing, Nathan Buckley, but just for the moment, the ideas seem to have evaporated. Sorry, Tim.
Sorry, Dennis. Milburn playing well in front of Cloak because he knows exactly where Cloak's going to lead for this ball.
Buckley, well, look at that.
There you go.
Geelong players everywhere. Milburn. Short one. Johnson. Ablett. Inside the centre square now goes Long. Mooney in best position. Worried out of it. Wakelin played him well and close. Kelly having a good night. Went to ground. Mooney brilliant. Threw himself on the boot of Shaw. And it spills out of bounds.
Ling's coming off the ground now. They're going to bring on Rook to replace. They're just worried about the run of Ling against Dane Swan.
Otten's front spot. Maxwell tried to get third man up. Burns, good handball. This is a promising build-up by Collingwood. It was Shaw to Clark to that man, Tim and Swan.
Rook's gone to him.
Gee, Clark's been busy in the second term. Tries a bounce and then goes wide. Rusling, good catch. Terrific mark. Had one in front and one behind. And Clark's run through the centre is becoming important for Collingwood.
And Swan again in that chain of possession, but it's just the pace here of Rusling. He got off Hunt. He's got a wonderful pair of hands. Milburn again just drifting back to be that second man in the contest.
Well, he had a forgettable opening term, Rusling. He started this one okay. Gee, a goal here would do his confidence the world of good. He's got it. Collingwood get the all-important first goal of the second term.
Here's that important build-up here, and that's Clark that's provided the overlap. And as Bruce correctly stated, he's done a wonderful job of being able to do that in the early part of the second quarter through the midfield. Here's Rusling. He's so athletic, this kid. He just hasn't only played a handful of games this year, so we can't be too tough on him. But if he can fire tonight, he's just that X factor that they need in their forward line.
Sean Rusling, who grew up barracking for the Adelaide Crows. His footy hero was the exciting Tony Modra.
Stokes has come off the ground. Ling has now gone forward for that mismatch against Heath Shaw. That's the bloke they appear now to be worried about.
4 points the difference, and this is typical Magpie football. Swan again out of the middle. Thomas heard a voice, went back to Harry O. O'Brien down towards half-forward. Medhurst on the lead. Wants to go from 55 metres out. Hasn't got the carry, you bet. And against the odds, the Magpies are in front.
Well, that's a great bit of play because what it does, Medhurst pushed to the ball for the first time tonight. The lead had been on it. The player actually lowered his eyes, hit that target. Now, all of a sudden, Tom Harley, for the rest of this quarter, maybe for the rest of the game, he's starting to think, okay, I have to pay this bloke more respect. Good play here by Harry O'Brien. That's the low pass. There's Harley coming in late to Medhurst. Generally, Harley's pushing back to be that third man up in the next contest.
And for Collingwood, Medhurst and Rusling were the two that couldn't find the footy in the opening term. They're their goal kickers in the second.
They're the wild cards inside their 50 now. Rockers still down there, Cloaks there. They can take Scarlett out of the game if they can find another couple of targets going forward.
So Collingwood back in front. They're in front for the first 6 minutes of the match. Geelong then kicked 4 of the next 5 goals. G. Clark. They've taken Stokes off the ground because Clark stitched him up in this term and they brought Burns onto him. Collingwood build here. Wakelin, a bit of an up and under to half forward. Pendlebury, he kept 2 in the target at least. Corey, Goldsack, did well. Swan and Bartell belts it away. And Corey to run onto it. Ball doesn't quite sit. And Didak shoves him over the line. And suddenly, There's a big shift in momentum in this game.
Clark's been good in this quarter, hasn't he, the youngster? He's sure they're worried about his run. Ling's going to actually play a defensive role on him in the forward line now.
Blake almost handed the ball to Bartel, but again they steal it. Swan got it from O'Brien, kicked down towards half forward, coming across on the angled Mackey, battling with Davis. It's out of bounds.
For the moment, they're just looking a trifle quicker across the ground than Geelong.
What a season he's had in the coaching box, Michael Malthouse. One of his best years ever. Down goes Blake, but not before he fed the ball to Mackey. Oh, well done, Davis. Got it across to Swan. Again, racking up possessions. Came to O'Brien from Lockyer. No favours there. In two minds was Rook, upended. Gathering the ball is Blake, feeds it off. Bartel has been terrific. Arches the back, gets through. Wojcinski takes off like a relay runner. Runs inside the 50, kicked it like a relay runner. Wakelin in the road. Was he taken high? Mooney, interesting. Mooney, like Didak at the other end. Improvising. Down goes Swan, but not before he's bounced it out of bounds at right half back.
That's a great defensive effort. A great defensive effort there by Collingwood. Here's the almost a free kick there. Wakelin just copping the shoulder there of Johnson.
O'Brien again, third man up. Terrific shepherd by Chapman, allows Ablett to free up Burns, and then Burns with a little toe poke, and Collingwood through Clement get it over the line again.
Their matchups are pretty good at the moment. Clement on Johnson, Maxwell on Nathan Ablett.
Wakelin holding up to Tim. Davis to Clark to Thomas. Well, anything Wojcinski can do, maybe Dale Thomas can do. He's had four and runs and then goes with a little dinky one to half forward. Important here. Lockyer, Rusling should shepherd. Doesn't really. Lets Wojcinski through. Good kick though. And Thomas, who'd set it up with that blinding run, just kept on going.
It was a confusing run. In the end, it worked out okay, but the forwards were going everywhere. They weren't quite sure when he was going to release the ball. Here's the run. But they've been good in the second quarter by being able to free players up in the midfield. At the moment, their pace is really a concern for Geelong.
Well, this will take some kick from the pocket. He can do the unusual, this young man. Improves the angle and, oh, just misses.
Ling's coming off the ground again. Stokes is replacing him.
Milburn going short to the pocket. This is Hunt. Back to Milburn. 10.5 minutes approximately out from half time. And you get the feeling the biggest 10.5 minutes the Cats may play this season. And this is a week before the grand final. Harley at left half back. Just maybe the wheels coming loose on the Cats bandwagon. Down towards half forward. Missing it behind was Lockyer. Slung was Chapman. Scarlett measures the kick from 35. And he's kicked it, has he? No. Behind. But narrowest of misses.
How good was Chapman there? In the tackle, still able to get the handle. That's a poor kick coming out. Came from Didak back to Bartel, who's just getting so many disposals, and their quality as well. And Johnson inside the 50.
Those turnovers hurt, don't they? Against one of the better side, or the best side in the competition, he turned the ball over, ends up in that bloke's hands, you're in real trouble. And when he transfers it to that bloke, you're in even further trouble.
It was the old AB, wasn't it? Ablett to Bartel. So Johnson bringing it back and scoring the goal. The Cats back in front.
And that is an emphatic response there by Geelong on the turnover. Here's the kicking. They actually had the numbers here, Geelong. Didak, I just don't think he saw the Geelong player there. Missed the target. Richards, who has had a fairly average night so far, hasn't really featured too much. And then Geelong able to get the ball back inside their attacking 50. And Johnson hasn't seen a lot of the ball tonight, finishing off.
What can we say? We've been blessed on Friday nights. 5-5-4-7 looks like another one. And how about that massive crowd? It's filled in now. Capacity at the MCG. Good bounce. Blake and Richards. Blake won it. Swan, terrific. Smothered off the boot by Kelly. Clark. Oh, well done, Johnson. Knocks it to his own advantage. A moment of magic as he pulls it back for Stokes. Fisted away down there by Shaw. Ball runs in front of the pack. Trying to soccer off the ground. Clement. Strong tackle again, Maxwell. Got Stokes down. Gee, he's got an appetite for tackling, Maxwell. Just threw his body in there then. Oblivious to anything that may have happened to him. Ablett thumps it goal with Johnson. 2 goals in 90 seconds.
Well, that was total confusion then in Collingwood's defence at this stoppage. Clement's the man here. Okay, he's Johnson's man. He completely loses him here. All right, Maxwell way behind Johnson too. And that's a wonderful tap there by Ablett to the attacking side here. Clement just completely out of sorts, unaware of who he should have been picking up. In the end, he had nobody. There was a spare player.
Long way to go, but they're responding like a great team. Ricky, what about Steve Johnson?
Well, it's amazing what a little chat to the coach can do. Steve Johnson was taken off about 5 or 6 minutes ago and spent a fair bit of time on the phone to the coach. He's come back on and kicked 2 great goals.
Kicked a goal in every match he's played this year.
That's a lucky break.
Gary, back here, please.
So Aubrey out wide to Swan. With him is Enright. Swan went to ground. Enright stood up. A little better. Bartel. Well, Bartel again so important. And here's Johnson. Inspired and then hooking back to Ablett. Free kick to Ablett.
So the defenders have to know that the ball is going to go there. Geelong is going to try and bring the ball back inside at every opportunity.
And then Ablett sets it up, wanting Johnson. So they're working well together, those two. And over the line for a boundary throw in.
Here's the free kick. There's Ablett, and there's the mark across. Oh, there's a slap across the arm. You cannot knock a player's arms out in a marking contest.
So Geelong by 10 points at right half forward. O'Brien again doing well. Aubrey and back to the big O. He's been good, Harry.
Kicks it down towards half forward. Rusling in front. Timely fist from Hunt. Got the ball on the ground. Picked up by Rocker. Hunt takes him on. Rocker forces it forward. Buckley. Hunt stifles the hand pass. Scarlett. Weight of numbers eventually. Work it forward for the Cats. Kelly to Chapman. Goes looking for Ablett. Staying on his feet, Maxwell. Gary Ablett arrived quickly. Assisting his brother Nathan, who runs to 30. Kicks it high down towards full forward. Stokes went to ground. Play on's the call. Wakelin on the boundary, across the boundary. It'll be thrown in. Well, what a few minutes from Steve Johnson. Had the ball on the wing just moments ago. It's amazing, Tim. You sit a player down there. Definitely is a correlation between the buttock and the brain. Boundary throw it in the pocket. Ottens. Watch him here. He's dangerous. He lays it down for Stokes. Harry stood his ground, though. O'Brien's hand pass. Clark running out of space. Ablett corralled him. O'Brien takes it out.
Ottens will be thinking at this moment that all his Christmases have come at once. He is just completely manhandling Richards at these stoppages.
Collingwood under immense pressure coming in towards half-time here. Burns. Good tackle by Aubrey, but he was able to get it to Johnson. And Clement gets him over the line.
Go in. Tackle over the line.
They're going to try and get Harry over the top again. They've had most success, as Ox said, at quarter time when they can get that third man up.
Chapman trying to take his run here. So Richards, Ottens again, just too powerful. O'Brien got a little touch, and then Ottens sweeps it brilliantly to Selwood, to Ling, Clever, to Rook. So a couple of interesting hairdos combining, Ling and Rook. It's all starting from Ottens, isn't it? Because he's putting them under so much pressure.
He is completely dominating at the stoppages.
Every time he goes near it, they're shivering, Collingwood. Max Rook. Kicked it well. Geelong have got 3 in a hurry.
What a season he's had. What a journey he's had this year. Maxi Rook. First of all, he changed his name from Jared to Max. Then he tore his hamstring. The season looked all over for him. They sent him over to Germany. He had extract of rhinoceros horn. He had extract of rooster's comb. He had extract of something else injected into him. And if he wasn't going to be playing here tonight, he beat the Melbourne show, Bruce.
Well, it seems like just moments ago the Magpies were in front. Now they trail by 16. What a response from Geelong. They really have turned up the volume in this one. And dare we say it, they've got it on Max right now. Big leap, very early by Bryan, just waiting down. Otten's got it, kicks inside the forward 50. Ablett cleverly to Mooney, goes back to Ablett, who wasn't expecting it, wasn't expecting the tackle either. Outside of the boot from Maxwell, sends it towards the boundary. Chapman, Buckley comes in, applies a strong tackle, and the ball is jarred across the line.
They're beginning to look tired, Collingwood. A lot of players with their hands on their hips, just waiting for half-time. They're going to play out this last 6.5 minutes.
In front, Otten's. He's got to get a free kick. It was as if Bryan was frisking him.
That's just the absolute size of Otten's against Bryan.
And his detractors at Geelong, but what a player he's become. Over the top, fisted away by Goldsack.
He played in a preliminary final for Richmond against Brisbane when they got hammered a few years back, Otten's. This one looks like being a much happier ending. Certainly having a season and a half. He's third with the Cats. Probably one of those that may have gotten to the All-Australian team. They had 9-0, but he wouldn't have been far away.
He might have been next cab off the rank.
So a critical time in this match, you would think. Well, that's a small win, isn't it, for Bryan? And a turnover. Ling back to Mackie. And then Mackie back inside the 50, not quite in the end because Otten's had to run outside the 50 to take it, and it gives Bryan a bit to go on with.
He just feels like Superman, I think, Brad Otten's at the moment.
I think they're testing him too a bit, Tim. I think Bryan's decided, well, I've got to be a bit physical here. The kick to the goal square, Wakeland, who's done a pretty good job, runs it over the line.
There's not a lot they can do, though. I mean, their next best option is on the bench at the moment. That's Richards. And maybe they could give Rocker and try and bring him into the game in the last 5 minutes of this quarter and maybe just push him into the ruck. But that would upset their balance at the other end of the ground.
Watching the battle of the big guys right there. Bryan, though, in the pocket meantime. To space. Pendlebury. Or is it Goldsack out there? It's Goldsack. Haven't seen much of Pendlebury. Goldsack, high ball towards the wing. Hunt did well, worked in front of Rusling. Follows up, got boot to ball. Chopped off by Swan. Half-distance kick. It was touched off the boot. Burns taken high. We'll get the free kick, no doubting that one.
Kicked the opening goal of the game. Goes wide, Burns to Cloak, getting most of his possessions a long way from home. Rock of the target, Scarlett, Didak, still with Didak. Oh yes, of course. He is special, that boy.
Just watch how beautifully he played this. He knew exactly where he was, where his opponent was, and where the ball was. Here he is. He just pushes Corey Enright out of the way, just makes a little bit of room for himself, just enough space. Just watch it here again. There's Corey Enright, pushes him out of the way, and just the aerobatics there by Didak. He is an extraordinarily talented player.
First inside 50 for Collingwood in 15 minutes, Tim. They're flattered by the scoreboard at the moment. A remarkable goal from a unique footballer.
How many times have we said that this year about Collingwood, about them being flattered by the scoreboard, and they just seem to be able to find another gear and another way to win.
That's right. Bryan fought a draw, which was good enough in the circumstances. Selwood taken by Swan. Ling slipped over. Eventually, hand pass forward by Bryan to good effect too. Down goes Lockyer. Coming in the opposite direction was Milburn. Cloak quickly. Bryan missed it. On his knees, Milburn. Dug out of there by Corey. O'Brien comes hard, but not as hard as Chapman. Sockers at about 15 metres. Stokes went the bump first. That was terrific. So too by Shaw.
Look at this bump. Bang. Milburn coming off his man. Great play there by Lockyer too, just to keep his eyes on the ball. Great commitment from both players.
Blake and Bryan, and then Burns. O'Brien's been outstanding in this term. Clark, who started it for Collingwood, got them going. O'Brien to Thomas. Loves to run with it. Now Pendlebury. Quite his first half. Down the line. Buckley did well. He just kept it in the contest. Collingwood with numbers around the Cats here.
Gee, they're good at coming off their man, aren't they, Geelong, and making sure that they can provide an extra number at a contest. There's the tackle. Great wrap up there by Ablett. Lucky to get away with that, Collingwood.
Bryan wins it decisively, but in the wrong direction. O'Brien coughs it up. Corey heard a voice, went to Harley. Harley towards half forward. Wow. Cam lost his bearings. Their advantage will be paid. Collingwood's free. Clark towards half forward. Missed the target. Rocker has got a problem now. Not quite as nimble as Scarlett. And Scarlett runs away. Well, he was nimbler than Davis as well, which was a surprise, and went in short to Johnson.
Kelly just giving Rocker one to go on with there too.
Johnson across the ground. It opens up for the Cats here. Collingwood have got to hold. Corey is running at them. The support offered by Blake wasn't much support, despite the instructions that came from Corey. Over the football, Ablett stolen by Clark. O'Brien gave it to Lockyer, kicks it up towards the wing. Missed by Didak. Enright feels a little more comfortable. Not a good kick though. Pendlebury back to Didak. Enright feels uncomfortable. Here's a chance for O'Brien. Running down a half forward, penetrating kick. Hangs in the air. Rusling. Rusling is marked 25 metres out.
Just take a deep breath. Nothing there. That was a good contest. No.
What have they got, Collingwood? They will not be denied.
It was just an early tug of the hand. There we see him just 27 metres out from goal. That's the player on the mark. 27 metres directly in front.
Geelong took the branding iron to them for 5 minutes in this term, but somehow they've conjured a revival.
Well, what they do is they play the percentages particularly well, Collingwood. This is a good matchup for them. If they can isolate this matchup, I reckon it's their best matchup inside their attacking 50. O'Brien here had the option of going to Rocker. He chose not to go that way. He decided that he'd kick the ball to Rusling. Now, he almost positioned the ball in the wrong spot. This is now to Josh Hunt's favoured side. It was just good body work by Rusling that he was able to hustle him out of that position.
Becoming important, Rusling. Injured early in the season, prior to the season, through the NAB Cup, and then playing 4 of the last 5 weeks.
Rocker's just had the one touch.
That's good jumping.
And yet they're still within a kick. Bartel yet again. Oh, well done by Maxwell, because Johnson was in the prime position. Selwood and Lockyer. Handball down the line. Johnson working hard. Oh, brilliantly done. On his hands and knees, back to Selwood, back to the hot spot, and Harry O'Brien and Marty Clark are the two, I reckon, for Collingwood down back, who have had huge second quarter. Speak of Clark, here he is.
Davis on.
Could they be in front at half-time? That would be something. Buckley had a lot of the footy. Buckley to be his 11th disposal.
Move it on, Max. Play on. Play on.
It's in trouble here.
No trouble.
So Swan having to improvise along the line. and lock you out of play.
And the real problem was then that neither of their forwards could get off their direct opponent. The last time these two sides met, Rocco only had the one touch to half-time as well, so Scarlett had him well covered last time. In the first half, he's done exactly the same.
Richards works to the front. Swan and Ling and Buckley again. Did well, Buckley. Scooped it back to O'Brien. And then O'Brien goes down the line. Harley, Medhurst clever. Couldn't quite find the footy, though, in the end. Rusling taken down on the tackle. Hunt away. Time maybe for one more score. Shaw searching for it. And then goes to ground and Chapman's into his back.
All over him. Got to be more careful than that.
Good call by the umpire.
Got to be careful.
So Shaw wide to Cloak. Hope he's all right, Heath. He's not looking great, is he? Now he's up. As the Cats remonstrate with the umpire, and Shaw hobbles off. Well, a terrific first half. Ebbed and flowed just like you'd wanted to in a preliminary final. The Cats are in front, but the Pies have got a chance. It's 48-43. This is finals football. This big night in Melbourne, preliminary final, and had a light shower about half an hour before the game, but it has held off, just slightly slippery conditions. Magnificent crowd. Seeing a great contest. A couple of times Geelong have threatened to take the match and take it away from Collingwood, but twice the Pies in that second term were able to get back. Very much alive, and if you love your AFL, the place to go is bigpondsport.com. Well, Ricky, you spoke to Bomber Thompson at half-time. What was the atmosphere like in the rooms for the two teams?
Yeah, well, both sides came off at the same time, Bruce, and what I did notice was the Collingwood team were very vocal, shouting a lot of encouragement, whereas Geelong, very quiet and subdued. The only person there who was talking was Matthew Scarlett. It just seemed like the momentum was definitely in the Collingwood camp.
48-43. Cats have been a hard team to peg back all year. Collingwood's been a great come-from-behind team. They've done it right from the start. Remember, against the Kangaroos on this ground in the opening round. Little did we know that those two teams will be in the last four this season.
No, they've done a magnificent job this year, Collingwood, and Geelong probably find themselves in reasonably unfamiliar territory too. Now, if they can hang in there, Collingwood, in this third quarter and go in with a similar margin at three-quarter time, well, that is going to really test their mental resolve tonight.
So many agendas, of course. I would imagine former Collingwood player Michael Lockman now with Ozjet, who arranged last Friday night's flight out of Perth, would be very keen for Collingwood to win from here. Good for business. But can they go on after the rigours of that game that went to extra time against the West Coast Eagles, who were so brave? We're about to find out. Second half, preliminary final at the MCG. Margin is 5 points. The season's top qualifiers lead. Swan smothered off the boot. Ablett, 14 possessions. Ling, Corey, they work it out nicely. Enright gave it across to Mackey, back to Ling. Ablett, involved 3 times now, has got the foot. He goes to Ling. A lot of possessions. Eventually, they advance the ball with a thumping kick, and the mark is held by Bartel. He does it all, Jimmy Bartel. Can really take a mark. Goes inside the forward 50. Chapman fingertips to it, and Maxwell, in the nick of time, got a hand on the ball, and that was very important.
He's gone to the dangerous Stevie Johnson, and Chapman, who lined up on Harry O'Brien. Harry O'Brien and Chapman, he marched him straight to the goal square. Chapman.
Speaking of the Devils, there they are, Tim Chapman and O'Brien. O'Brien against the flow, did well to Swan, and a very good first half. And Corey corrals him over the line.
Wakeland's done a good job in the first half on Cam Mooney. Kept him to just 6 touches, no goals for Cam Mooney. That's a win for the Pies.
Ottens and Richards. Richards just worked him underneath, and then Maxwell bangs it onto his boot, gets it almost to centre wing. Harley picked it off well. Stokes, such an important player in the opening term, and then in right to full forward. And that man Ottens. Well, who knows, Tim, how well Josh Fraser was going to play tonight, but it was a big out, wasn't it?
Look at the match up here. There's a stick against a mountain of a man, just unable to control his physical strength in that one-on-one duel.
And so difficult for Michael Malthouse because he just doesn't have a weapon to use here against Ottens. How can they get him out of the play? It's pretty hard when you're a ruckman because he's going to be there so often. Now, he's a beautiful kick normally. He's already kicked 1 goal to this end tonight. And from straight in front, he's hooked it. There you go.
Wow.
You couldn't hear me tonight, Dennis. There are too many people here.
You've got a very distinctive voice, Bruce.
So have you.
Don't be so self-effacing. He heard you.
So have you, and it's your turn.
Here's Clement to himself, runs away, kicks it out towards the wing. Cats in number. And anxious to make amends. Ottens goes up and claims it to Bartel. Number 1 on the ground for possessions to Stokes. 3 goals in the opening term. Kelly a chance to bring up a goal in the 3rd term. And he's missed. The sort of misses that can come back to bite you. Shaw to himself. Runs away. Drives it towards the outer side. Bartel, did he touch it? Yes, he did. That was terrific. Made something out of nothing then. Went to Mackey. Kicks inside the 50. Burns was up. Shaw comes through. Well worked. Beautifully picked up by O'Brien. Goes to the wing and Cloak. A battle of wills there. Collingwood won that duel. In short, Medhurst on the lead. Plays on. Can't beat the second tackler. Is holding the ball.
Put it on the ground. And
50
50. And 50.
against Paul Medhurst, who since coming to Melbourne, I think has become a better mark. That was a terrific mark, but then he undid the earlier good mark and work. There goes the kick anyway from Mackey down towards full forward. Lunging forward was Chapman, taken by Johnson, who pulls it back and getting back. Shaw gets a boot to it and gets it across the line.
Busy Shaw to Swan. Look, Buckley. A couple of times Nathan's been held up on the kick, hasn't he? This time he goes long, good-looking kick to Cloak. That's Buckley at his best, a 60-metre kick. Cloak takes his man on, gets onto the wrong side, and then an awful-looking kick, but it's to the hot spot. And Davis with a real chance here, leans back and puts it through, and Collingwood keep coming.
See, that was a bad miss there by Cameron Ling. Just the ball just going straight through his hands. Here it is. Cloak got lost here. This was a terrible kick. They had a 2-on-2 deep inside their 50. Ling wasn't able to hang on to that ball. And Leon knew exactly what he was doing when he took possession, swinging around on his left foot, and beautifully executed there too. It hasn't had a lot of the ball. It's what he does when he gets inside 50.
And remarkably, Collingwood's first inside 50 of the second half. How about that? And Davis getting the goal after some misses at the opposite end. Early going in the 3rd term. Bryan missed it completely. Ottens comes away with clean possession inside the forward 50, and Stokes will be paid a free kick, I think.
High contact. It was high contact. I'm not playing the mark. I'm playing the high spoil.
Oh,
Hit his head.
I didn't even hit his head.
Heath Shaw has just had a look at the replay up on the big screen before he was prepared to make some comment to the umpire. Here it is again. And look, I think that's over the shoulder there. That's a free kick to Stokes.
Lines up for his 4th, and he's missed. So, Ottens, Kelly, and now Stokes. They're costly misses. It's far from being an honour roll. 7-10 plays 7-7. In the midfield, they're on a roll.
Poor kick last time from Clement.
Well, not 15, we're told. So Clark back to Clement. And just went for the safety of distance, really. Ottens again getting into the contest. Bartel to Ling. Well done, Aubrey. And then Bartel down low. Davis, one hand pick up. Brilliant. And then just drew the tackle to him, didn't he? Davis, one of those players, Tim, that can make a difference. Quiet first half. Plenty of run in his legs, you would think.
That's right. He only averages about 13 possessions a game, but it's what he does when he gets inside 50. He can be dangerous, all right.
So Swan to Aubrey. So some costly mistakes by Collingwood. We saw the Medhurst one early in a similar position. Aubrey here, just when Collingwood looked like they've got Geelong starting to second guess. Certainly second guessing when they're going for goal in this quarter. Joel Corey from the heart of the centre square.
Corey plays on inside the 50 then. Hand to it from Ottens. But around the pack it's all Collingwood. Clement to Goldsack. He's at right half back. 3 points the margin. Goldsack decides to go. Long kick beyond the wing. Tailor-made for Corey at the back. And up he goes. Grabs it on his knees. Feeds Bartel. Here's Ling cruising around the outer side. Penetrating kick inside the forward 50. Wakelin appear to be held in midair. No free to Clark. Clark scrambles a high ball out towards the wing. How will it bounce? Awkwardly, certainly for Medhurst. Mackey trying to knock it away. Stolen though by Davis. Davis goes through midfield. Buckley, can he get there? No. Coming across on the angle. Chopping it off initially with Wojcinski. Now Hunt. Tackled by Buckley. Taken down. Held to him, says the umpire. And we'll have a bounce.
Davis coming off the ground. I'm not sure if he's injured in that kicking action or he's just tired. He's been running around a lot in the midfield.
Ottens wins the tap. Wojcinski to Mackey. They run it out. Bartel yet again. Ablett on a long lead. Important ball here. Burns. Thomas really should have put a better tackle on than that. Ablett corralled a bit. Kicks to Johnson. Uses his body well. Thomas gets back. Little touch. Maxwell in trouble. Did well. And then Thomas a third opportunity here. Can you believe this, Tim? Since quarter time, Collingwood's outscored Geelong. Geelong's had 25 inside 50s to 9. And yet Collingwood's outscored them on the board. Not by a lot. But they've been 9 to 25 inside 50s. That's a worry, I reckon, for the Cats. Here's Swan.
Close to the boundary line, Swan. Right half back to the wing, and Didak ran a long way. Didak towards half forward. Bryant.
That's what he has to do to Ottens.
That's a brave lead. Came hard, ran for 50 metres, sinks the boot into this one. Buckley launched himself. Rusling to Burns as he started the game. He misses this one.
Well, that was great play by Buckley, even though he didn't mark the ball. Here he goes. Here's the fly. It's a lovely soft crumb there to the players at ground level.
Wow. An element of danger. The short one finds Wojcinski.
Ricky, you got something for us down there?
There's an injury concern for Geelong. Darren Milburn came off the ground a few minutes ago, went down to the room for the club doctor. He's actually got a calf injury, which the doctor is now bandaging up. Geelong's had to reshuffle their backline. Tom Harley's now gone to Travis Cloak.
Chapman beautifully done to Ottens, who decides to go to Kelly. He's missed one from here early in the quarter. Not this time. And Tim, on that point, reshuffling, no Egan. Suddenly you feel like the miss of Egan is being felt tonight.
That's right. If they can get enough ball supplies, we see Chapman just setting up this goal. You're quite right. No Egan. That means now that Harley has had to leave his opponent. He's gone on to one of the talls, which is Cloak. They've already got an undersized Hunt on Rusling, so they're down one of those taller type players. Mackey can play tall. He's now gone to Medhurst.
Only his 11th goal of the season, but a vital one. 12 possessions so far. James Kelly gets his side up by 8 points.
There's that line, the Collingwood forward line, and exactly the same, almost a replica of that at the other end of the ground. The forwards from goal square to centre half forward in a straight line.
Richards did well, first hand to it. Ottens, though, feeds it back. Selwood, Bartell on the overlap. Harley off balance, played it okay. Missed the target, though. Kind bounce for Rook. Lunges forward, gave it to Kelly. Back it comes to Mackie. Kicks directly into Goldsack. Goldsack outnumbered, but played it well. The ball bounces obligingly for Medhurst. Places it on the group. Gives it to Cloak from 50 metres out. He gives it a ride.
He's a good player, Tyson Goldsack. He's an improving player. They believe that he's one of their best one-on-one type players. Enormous raps on him for a developing player. Smart kick here by Medhurst, just to the space of Cloak. And when he doesn't have a lot of time to stop and worry and think about kicking, he's actually a pretty accurate kick on the run like that, Cloak. You just wonder, though, now, real problem for Geelong's defence with an extra one of their tools off the ground.
Oh, for an Egan right now for the Cats.
And Brian's pushed forward now too.
Gee, Dad loved it. The champ from Richmond and Collingwood. A couple of premierships, David Cloak with the Tigers. So Travis Cloak with his first goal. He got 4 against the Cats in that big round 15 match. Bartell just terrific again tonight. Burns and Shaw. Still with Burns.
They're putting pressure on Heath Shaw now. Had a really good early part of the second quarter. Couldn't go with him. Ling went down there to try and tag him, and then they brought Stokes back onto the ground to tag him. And now they're taking or rotating Stokes and also Burns off him.
Richards won that tap. Johnson caught in the tackle by Maxwell. Burns and Ablett with him. Burns can't quite get it out. It was a battle of wills.
No chance. Let go, Leon. Leon, I got him. I got him.
Heard the ump.
Thanks, Scotty.
What a warhorse he's been. Dennis described him as the old dog. He's been a great player for Collingwood, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Blake over the ball, knocks it out. Rook, 2 goes at it. You only get 1 in this game. Clark, Burns on the defensive 50, sends it very high. Cats in all directions, and they let it bounce. They watched it. It became a spectator sport. Davis tried to go through the legs of a teammate. I think it was Richards. Eventually, it comes across to Burns. He makes sense of it all. Gives it to Lockyer. Penetrating kick towards half forward. What a beauty. And Cloak on the leader's got it. Forward of the wing.
He's getting off Harley like he couldn't get off Milburn.
Clark coming back. Rocker coming up. Rocker collects Clark and the footy.
He's fresh, Rocker, taken off the ground, Dennis, for a spell for 5 minutes. Brian went forward, took Brian off the ground, Rocker back onto the ground, immediate impact.
Medhurst beckoning for the ball to come forward. But Rocker thinks he can do the trip. Rocker, 60 metres out. Doesn't go all the way to the man on the mark. Kicks it down towards full forward. Medhurst in front.
Again, Sean Rosling. Push out. Josh yours.
Heard the umpire. Hunt to take it.
Just didn't get clean contact. Here's a free kick there by Rusling. Clearly a free kick, pushing Josh Hunt in the back.
Just needs something good to happen, Rocker, doesn't he? It's just nothing much tonight.
Well, Milburn's okay again. He's back in the action. That's a great sign for Geelong.
Because that defence is being stretched. We've mentioned before, no Matthew Egan. Injured against Brisbane in the last match. Well done, Rocker.
That's great. Coming in the game now, Rocker, after that break, that rest on the bench.
So a second mark for him within a minute. This one up the ground. Swan. Such an integral part. Awful kick. Not sure what he was thinking. Cats everywhere. Scarlett to Corey. This could hurt. Ablett on the burst. Can he get around? He does. He's almost run down. Keeps his balance. Terrific effort, Maxwell.
Again.
Because Ablett was home.
That was a terrible kick there by Dane Swan. Just to turn the ball over like that.
Doesn't Maxwell play with great heart? Takes nothing for granted. Wakelin gave it to the pocket and Shaw. Lockyer comes away. That's a good kick. into the path of Clement. Centimetre perfect to the wing. He plays on, aided by a good shepherd from Rusling. Kicks inside the forward 50. Didak works his way in front. Arriving very quickly, Wojcinski. Look at him go. He's almost out of control on the outer side. Stops, goes back. Hunt in desperate trouble. Tackled by O'Brien, picked up by Rook. Spinning out of trouble, Wojcinski. Goes short, Corey. Milburn back on the ground. Times the release. Corey through midfield. Inside the centre circles. Virtually stolen off his boot by Pendlebury. Comes to Burns. Burns back to the 19-year-old. Pendlebury too clever by half. Pulled it back too far. Down goes Milburn. Rocker got him. And the ball is not coming out. In fact, given the nature of the tackle, that ball could be deflated.
Hasn't he played like a man possessed since he came back onto the ground too? Anthony Rocker had real impact.
Davis now Pendlebury on the right leg, looks for Medhurst. Wojcinski, Medhurst still is a beautiful kick. Medhurst, he's 45 metres out, hooks it back. Collingwood in front.
They will not go away, Collingwood. They've shown this all year. Medhurst, that's a wonderful kick by him. Rocker again, just getting his hands to the ball. Leon Davis just a knock again. Pendlebury just used this ball beautifully to the favoured side of Medhurst, able to control the ball. Had a quick look and then able to swing around. And we saw him do that so many times for Fremantle.
It's his first prelim final. He didn't play for the Dockers in the prelim last year.
Medhurst is off the ground. I made the point before, I think since coming across to Melbourne, there's more finesse about his game now. That was a wonderful goal. I think the marking is easy to explain. Tim, I've got a theory. I'll come back to that in just a moment. We've got the bounce in the middle. Knocked down by the big guy Blake. Stolen away by Ablett, who kicks inside the forward 50. Looking for his brother Gary to Nathan Kemp in front. Ling. How will this one bounce? Just wide of the mark. They're just talking about Medhurst marking. He's taken a couple of very good ones tonight. On the chest, step for step with the defender. I think that's improved since coming to Victoria, and they put it down to Melbourne taxi drivers. Here's Lockyer in the back pocket. First thing they do when you get in the cab is they throw you the road map. There goes the kick by Lockyer up towards the wing. In front out there was Pendlebury. Had it knocked away by Ablett. Burns goes back to Ablett. Opportunity 60 metres out now for Selwood. Smothered off the boot. Well done, Clark. It comes back to Selwood. Long to full forward. Buckley, the only man back.
1-6 to 3-1 in this quarter. 1-6 Geelong, 3-1 Clement. He'll use Cloak. It's good effort by Collingwood. Buckley, Clement and Cloak. And then Cloak just pops it up. Rusling. Hunt did a very good job. It was a slow kick. Ling corralled. O'Brien, Rusling. And then run him over the line.
Brian.
Play on. O'Brien. Back inside. Brian. He kicked a goal in extra time. Oh, magnificent Corey. Brian too slow. Collingwood maybe a second chance. Kelly. Back to Scarlett. What does Bill Laurie say at the MCG? It's all happening now. Here's Corey.
Corey, one of the great smothers of all time, I'd suggest, as this ball trickles across the line. Johnson beat it across.
It's been four great smothers this quarter. Watch this again. Here's Brian having a shot at goal. Magnificent play there by Corey, and then to gather the ball as well.
That was the thing, wasn't it? One thing to smother, another thing to come up brandishing the football. Kelly went back to Corey, who played it pretty well to Chapman. The game very much in the balance. Another wonderful smother. That time from Davis. How did he get through there? Ablett to Burns. Wojcinski. Burns the grass. Goes over the top to Selwood. Selwood long towards full forward. It didn't get touched certainly by Johnson. May have been touched by Clark. Doesn't matter. Offline and through for a behind.
And again, Dennis, it was Ablett that created something from nothing. Pendlebury over the top of Selwood, the two NAB Rising Stars together. Stokes goes back inside. O'Brien takes the mark.
Gee, they've had trouble with their kick-ins tonight, Collingwood, haven't they? Actually getting that second kick and getting the ball past centre.
Clement. A couple of ex-Dockers doing a good job for Collingwood, aren't they? Clement goes way back. Medhurst, the more recent one.
Guy Richards just came off, or just came on the ground, so he's fresh, pushing to the ball.
Well, Clements was a nothing sort of kick. Wanted Richards to run onto it. And now 4 players hatching a footy. And the ball up.
Thanks, mate.
Here's a little maestro. Can he extricate himself from a difficult situation?
He'd work his way through a maze better than anyone, you'd reckon. Dane Swan, good play in the end. He got 35 metres out of that.
Leon Davis has been important this quarter too, hasn't he, for Collingwood around the stoppages. Just able to get his hand in there, his pace. He's an electrifying player.
18 possessions now for Dane Swan. Another ruckman touched the ball, lurking behind. Nathan Buckley kicks it down towards the half-forward line, working in front. The mark is taken by Harley.
Too much strength. That means Harley now, with Milburn coming back onto the ground, he can go to one of those undersized players there. Thomas just not allowed to get into the contest.
Point the difference. Magpies lead. Mackey's got the football.
Ablett off the ground. Bartel coming on though, so still some grunt in the midfield.
The kick towards the wing. Bit lucky. Eventually got to Scarlett, who was the target. Lays it off to Chapman. Chapman, a searing kick inside the forward 50. Goldsack did well. Knocked it down. The two youngsters combined. Clark forward to the veteran Buckley. Buckley looks down towards centre half forward. Kicks it long. Rocker one out. Goes back. Leads in the race. Stumbles forward. Knocked away by Milburn. Taken by Mackey. Hand passes across to Hunt, and Hunt goes out to Ottens.
They're breaking down across half forward though, the Cats. They can't find themselves a winner.
Selwood. Wojcinski. Hard man to bring down. Selwood back turn to Mackey. Loves to run through the corridor. Good kick. Mooney.
First touch this quarter.
It's had a quiet night. Ling versus Maxwell. Maxwell, brilliant. We'll pay that to Buckley, and then Buckley short. Pendlebury getting busy, so Davis and Pendlebury getting busy. And here is Davis in the centre of the ground.
He's going to have to hold this ball up though. The Cats have the numbers back. They've slid back, so he has to go sideways to Shaw, out to Thomas.
But he's given Thomas a task here. It was a poor kick by Shaw. Gee, that's a disappointing result by Shaw.
Go back and take your kick.
So Bartel inside to Corey.
That was wonderful by Bartel, though. He just took them on. He knew what was coming. He was prepared to cop it. Mooney knocks it goalward. Goldsack has got a problem here. In his hip pocket was Burns. Burns runs on to the next man. Oh, well done. Pressured a couple. Shaw, the second on his list, and a boundary throw in.
Great play there by Tyson Goldsack, one-on-one there, just to make sure that he kept the space, the ball on his space side.
Nobody touched the footy again. Burns, Johnson, the ruckman really not having a contribution at times with the exception of Ottens. Buckley clears the zone. One senses it could be coming back quickly. No, Rocker's got other ideas. To O'Brien, to Rocker. Slips one, not the second. That's going to be holding it. That was ambitious.
He had to release the ball into Cloak.
Scarlett, too nimble. Goes to the wing, into the path of Selwood, the old and the new, and Buckley arrived quickly. Selwood goes again. How about this battle? Buckley and Selwood. Selwood must get it free. It was a slow whistle. I think umpire McLaren absorbed like I was.
Buckley won the first NAB Rising Star. Selwood's won the more recent one. Hunt took his time and then bangs to full forward. Not a good kick. Mooney was terrific. Ottens held up by Richards. Well, here's something to think about. The Cats in that streak of 18, well, they won 17 out of 18, have only been behind once at three-quarter time, and that's when they lost to Port Adelaide. They're behind by a point at the moment. They call this the premiership quarter. Well, this is the prelim final.
Into ground with the ball, Clemens kick.
You think if Collingwood can get
you, not my fault.
a three-quarter time lead by any margin, there are going to be some nervous Geelong fans around Australia.
You start to think about that absorbing game, though, they played last week over in the West. I mean, that was a tough game, extra time as well. What impact or what damage has that done to the players?
Mickey Malthouse said today, Tim, that he was the freshest he's ever been coming back. Here's Burns. Pendlebury had it chopped off, gets a second crack. And then Pendlebury, who refuses to panic, to Didak.
Didak, in characteristic fashion, shuffles away, and then with a telling kick over distance, finds Wakeland. He's at left half back. Back to O'Brien. A brief respite as the clock runs down to three-quarter time. A point the difference. Could we go to overtime again tonight, gentlemen?
We've gone the early crow there, Dennis.
Of course, that sort of game. It's a Collingwood game.
Rocker has to push up now.
He's at half back. Peels off. There's Rocker. As if on cue. Off hands, end right. Wojcinski, Scarlett. We're down to 55 seconds. Close to the boundary. Ablett. Brilliantly done. Knocked the ball to his own advantage, and a strong mark is taken by Chapman.
Chapman doesn't waste any time. Mooney the target. Clement. Mooney manhandles him, and then Clement deliberate.
Straight out. Mooney's kick. Mooney's kick. Mooney's kick.
I'm not sure if he got disorientated with the point post there, whether he wanted it to be a behind or not.
It was a 2-on-1. He actually could have used the other Collingwood player there had he known that he was on his own. I think his way through this, Cam Mooney, he should be able to slot it through.
Does he put the Cats in front? He likes it. Geelong in front.
It's not such a difficult shot, this one, when you actually think your way through it, but watching the ball go through the first time, I just wonder how high that kick was. Well, there's Wakeland alongside him, but that was clearly a free kick for deliberate. Here's the contest again, going towards the boundary line. Maybe he thought he got disorientated. Maybe he thought that was the goal post, and he was actually knocking it through for a behind. But that kick by Cam Mooney there, it didn't go very high at all. If you had a tall player on the goal line, you might have been able to touch that or knock it through. He's been well held tonight, Cam Mooney, by Shane Wakeland. He's done a good job.
You've got to admit, Tim, all those posts look the same. I mean, if you gave a description to a dedicated artist, you'd draw the same thing. There goes Swan, down towards half forward. Enright gathers it. Bartel wants it long. Enright tries to oblige. Have this one bounce. Bartel is favoured by the bounce, but he won't be the first there. He's the third. Picks it up. Slips a hand pass away on the siren. His 24th possession. Leads all comers on the ground. Three-quarter time. We're set for a thriller. Another thriller. Geelong 9-13. Collingwood 9-8. The winner goes to the grand final. This is finals football.
Cam Star celebrates, and that goal put Geelong in front. As you see the storyline down there for the match, 17 points, the biggest margin at the 22-minute mark of the second quarter, 67-62. Lee Matthews with Ox. They've owned the corridor all year. Geelong has been that tonight.
It certainly hasn't, Bruce. They've been pushed out wide, and to Collingwood's credit, they've actually forced them to do that, and just getting numbers on that halfback line and blocking that corridor up, Lee, they've made it very difficult for the Cats to go forward.
They love to run it through the centre corridor, and they've still got the ball forward 49 times inside 50, so they're getting the ball in there, but the Collingwood big defenders are on top of Mooney and Ablett, and Geelong just can't get that forward flow. If either side's key position players can get a kick in this last quarter, that'll be the side that'll probably win.
Lee, who do you fancy from here?
Probably still Geelong, but gee, it's what we're here to find out, Bruce.
Collingwood just, but Dennis might be right.
Still got to be a winner.
I guess one of the talking points will be whether Collingwood have got the legs after the Perth trip last week. Down to you, Ricky.
Well, the biggest difference between the two sides there at three-quarter time was that half the Collingwood side were lying on the ground. The trains were working overtime trying to get their hamstrings and calves loosened up compared to Geelong, who pretty much the whole Geelong side stood up and listened to Bomber Thompson. Bomber Thompson did remind his team that Collingwood have had to come back from Perth last week, also had to play extra time to make sure to run them off their feet in this last quarter.
So far tonight, though, 5 wins less in the regular season has stood for nothing. Collingwood within a kick. of going to the grand final with half an hour to play. Final turn. First preliminary final. Who'll be first through to the grand final? Brian knocks it down. O'Brien got a boot to it. It runs towards the outer side. Arriving at speed, Maxwell missed the football. Like an obedient dog, it came back to him. He's immediately tackled by Enright. Corey's in there as well. O'Brien at the base of it, and the umpire will ball it up.
Importantly for Collingwood too, Didak in that centre bounce. We see Buckley going forward, Mackie picking him up. All the guns are in the forward line for Collingwood for this last quarter.
Ottens decisively. Ablett to Enright. Strong tackle, got him down. Kick from Swan towards half forward. Cleared Mackie, who leads back. Buckley, though, stole it away, then missed the footy. It's out of bounds.
So they've got some talent in their forward line. Rusling, Rocker and Davis. Leon Davis deep. Cloak playing up higher alongside Medhurst and Buckley.
Ottens and Bryan. Ottens pushes towards the line. Corey cut off by Bryan. Medhurst did well, got it to O'Brien. Back to Buckley. I think it was touch to Cloak. Left foot goes for goal. Collingwood in front.
I reckon this bloke, the less time there we see his dad, David, who was a magnificent player for both Richmond and Collingwood, the less time he's got to think about kicking for goal, the better he is. This is about playing the ball right out to the boundary line. They did that. Meadows knocked it back in. O'Brien across to Buckley, and then Cloak. 1, 2, bang, goal.
Gee, Buckley's been good.
He's got 2 goals, and Nathan Buckley has 19 possessions, the veteran. Most of them bearing his stamp of class. A point the difference. Collingwood on top. Ottens wins it down, follows up his own ball. Still going, Ottens to Bartel, and why not? Bartel goes after it. Goldsack coughed it up. Johnson, 55 metres out. Mooney on the lead.
Oh, we've seen the class just rise to the top now. That's a wonderful bit of play here. They look like they're away. Johnson just read the ball from that scrimmage to the better and then didn't lose his head, kept his composure. Mooney coming out from the top of the square.
Cam Mooney. 1 goal tonight. Every kick vital now, and this one splits the middle.
Well, it's been a good battle between him and Wakeland tonight. Wakeland had the better of him in the first half. He got his first goal late in the third quarter. As we see Ottens again, whose work around the scrimmages and the stoppage has been first class. They haven't had an answer for him tonight. Just the momentum that he's been able to penetrate with from those stoppages has had a profound effect on their performance tonight. Mooney, what a celebration from him.
So twice in about 3 minutes of playing time, Mooney puts Geelong back in front. Right on 3/4 time. Collingwood just can't hang on to this lead, can they? They've had it fleetingly throughout the night. A 1-kick game again. Didak bangs to centre half forward. Cloak underneath. Well done, Milburn. Bouncing ball. Corey gives Ablett a chase. Medhurst poleaxes him into the ground. Free kick. Stokes quickly on. I think it'll come back.
No advantage. No advantage.
Didak's been in for these 2 centre bounces in this quarter, and both times they've tried to direct the ball to him. There's Medhurst. Actually had Ablett in his sights from about 10 metres, but just wasn't able to turn him in the tackle.
So Ablett decides to load up and go high. Johnson's going to be the flyer. Well, he's becoming important, isn't he?
That's a big kick. Well, there's Maxwell just got lost. Bartel actually pushed back, and it was almost like he blocked his run then. Not intentionally.
Well, he got those 2 goals in a hurry, didn't he, in the second quarter? And he's created the last one to Mooney and kicked the next one. He's having an impact.
He's a mercurial player. We know that. He's had to rebuild not just himself, but his whole season and the way that he goes about things. Had a poor start to the year. The players group decided that he needed to be banished. He went back, took his medicine. Bill Brownless, one of the great servants of the Geelong Football Club, took him under his wing, has mentored him, has looked after him. He believes he's a complete fellow now, completely changed his personality and the way he went about things.
11 points the margin in the twinkling of an eye. The Cats back on top within the context of this game, a handy lead. 11-13, 10-8. The test now for the Magpies, particularly in their legs. Can they run it out? They need to find something. Lockyer had it, lost it. Otten's put the body in, follows up, slaps it out. Ablett goes back to Mackie, to Gary Ablett once more, getting very busy. Corey, who started so well. In fact, he's gone for the 4 quarters, and he's gone now. 55 metres out, long towards full forward. Nathan Ablett pushed out of it, and the ball goes out of bounds. Not sure who pushed him. It may have been Chapman.
Gary Ablett up to 25 touches now for the game, getting busy again.
I think Chapman was trying to get rid of O'Brien, who was right in his face. Ottens lays it down. This time Swan read it, and a lucky kick in the way. The Lockyer, the ball just didn't quite get to him.
Good decision.
No chance, yeah, no chance. You take on him straight away, yeah, no chance.
Geelong going in for the kill here, aren't they? They've got a chance here in the next 5 minutes to get hold of this match. Collingwood have got to dig as they've dug all year. O'Brien only as far as Swan, only as far as Milburn. Cats looking strong. Corey again. Comes out wide. Again Johnson and Ablett a target. Gee, Ablett had a chance. Johnson can't quite get the handball to Chapman. Collingwood hanging on for dear life.
See Maxwell there. Just disposed to one of the Geelong players. Here's the contest in there. Ablett just not able to get enough of a run. It got onto his chest though.
You'd have to play against Maxwell in the backyard with no rules.
You wouldn't. You'd move. Inside the defensive 50, there's going to be a free kick, and it's going Collingwood's way. Goal sack, resolute defender. What a future he's got. Up towards the wing, free kick surely to Mackie. He was flattened by Cloak, marked by Milburn, and they paid the mark. Milburn pumps it back in. Ablett the fly from behind. Goal sack almost the mark. The mercurial Johnson creates space, not once but twice. Falls short with a kick. Lockyer gets back. Marks. Quickly plays on to Shaw. Nothing much on. Didak now sprints for him. Howlett set. Didak wants his left side. Running out of space. Hugs the boundary. Arriving first is Hunt. Deflects it across the line.
Clever kick by Didak.
Burns has played 50% of the game. Thomas 61. O'Brien 71. Swan's actually played 87% of the game tonight, so they'll need some run from those key midfielders in this last quarter, Collingwood.
Ottens well read though by Burns, and then Kelly just manhandled him to the ground. Richards quick kick, doesn't get far. Milburn hung on to.
Free kick. Back there, Darren, yep.
Such an important duel now, Milburn versus Cloak. Cloak, a couple of second half goals.
For the time though too, Collingwood have just lost their run from half back and through the midfield.
To Ling, sold a dummy on Rocker, and then kicks to half forward. Bartel very good in the air. Johnson, Maxwell had a victory, and then he bangs it only as far as Ottens.
Gee, he had to do better with that kick.
Ottens just carefully to Selwood.
Selwood across the ground at Corey. Bartel is down. Don't know what happened to him. Short one comes into Chapman, who's marked 25 metres out, maybe 30, directly in front.
It's just weight of numbers eventually, isn't it? At the moment, the inside 50s are 55 to Geelong and 33 to Collingwood. I mean, that is just an extraordinary discrepancy.
Sooner or later, those sort of figures have to sink you. Jimmy Bartel has come off the ground. I didn't see what happened to him, but I looked to one side. He was on the ground as Chapman comes in, and now the alarm bells are sounding for the Magpies.
Well, Geelong have displayed all year that they can provide a withering far 10 minutes of football. There's Joffa not looking particularly happy of football. They can blow you away. But Collingwood, conversely, have shown all year that they've got this capacity when you've just about written them off, that they can actually just claw their way back into a contest. They've just got to get their hands on the ball. And when they do, they've just got to show a little bit more pose and composure than what we've seen from them this quarter.
Back to 17 points, equals their biggest lead of the night. Ricky, what's up with Bartel?
Yeah, well, Jimmy Bartel came off a few minutes ago. He looked to be winded. He was hunched over a couple of times. He's had a chat to the doctor, but he looks to be okay. He'll be back on after a breather.
Well, Collingwood has to get the next goal to get into the grand final. They're 3 kicks behind. Geelong have worn them down. Is there another kick in them?
He's like an eel, isn't he, Ablett? He's almost impossible to tackle and take down.
He's having a magnificent last quarter. He's got a couple of teammates having a similar effect on this game. Again goes long, and again Mooney.
He knows what he should have done. Here's the kick, the one-on-one contest. Just had to make sure that he punched that ball away then, Shane.
It's like a set play, Gary Ablett, the long ball. He does it so often, doesn't he?
But isolated once again, a 1-1 contest inside their 50, no third man up.
Well, Mooney's kicked 2 goals since half-time. One basically on the three-quarter time siren to put them in front. One to get them back in front. And that one is pushed. So that inaccuracy that we saw in the third quarter at the moment doesn't look like it'll hurt the Cats. That is their biggest lead so far tonight, out to 18 points. Collingwood have got to manufacture a goal pretty quickly.
Jimmy Bartel is back on the ground now after being winded. Have to say he was winded a long way from the footy. There's Clement. Not his best kick, but it works out okay. Pendlebury. He's been denied tonight. Goes to the outer side. The run of Thomas is good, coming off the wing. Kicks inside the forward 50. Was that interference? Well, it worked out okay for Milburn, who may have been the man who should have got the free. Ball finished up in his fingertips. Gave it to Hunt. Here's Bartel. Jimmy. Steps Cloak. Hunt. Back to Bartel. Feeds it forward. Enright. Back to Bartel. Bartel over the top. Stokes has got it. The run is there now for the Cats. Valiant attempt by Burns. Awkward pickle bounce eluded Selwood. The big derriere of Moody went in there. Down goes Clark. Slapped forward by Bryan. Burns lacking support. Almost stolen away by Rook. Well done, Shaw. Shaw goes for the spiral. Well, I think the only thing he was hoping to do there was make it difficult to mark. It wasn't that difficult. Milburn goes to Hunt.
Rocker has to read that better, though, and push up and work harder to get to that contest.
Here's a big, important play. Blake brought down, and Collingwood get a second crack here.
I mean, he sure picks up the ball at the wing. He looks up. He's got one target. That's Cloak. He's having difficulty to get off his man. There's 2 Geelong players there. They have to have another option.
Blake wins the tap. Burns was searching for a high tackle, couldn't find it. Rocker without a goal tonight. He had a 5-minute burst in the third quarter.
That was after a rest. He went to the bench and came on the ground. He looked like a new man.
You feel like he has to do something in this last quarter for Collingwood to win. Ball slow coming out. They get that high tackle.
Got a free play here. Harley's dropped off.
He's got Medhurst wide here, and he hasn't seen him, Lotka. Now Rocker goes, or rather Cloak goes, and he's gone for him, and he's got him. Well, here's a test, Tim. You've talked about the fact that he's much better on the run. He knows that. He bats at less than 40% from set shots. 20 goals, 30 coming in from set shots this year. He's missed 1 tonight at least. But he's been a very good player in this second half particularly. Almost feel he has to kick it to keep Collingwood going. 50 metres out. Good kick. What a big game player he looks like he's going to be.
They're not done, the Magpies. That's his third goal, Cloak. A good, strong mark. Here's the kick by Lockyer. Summed up the situation, looked to the options, went out wide to Cloak there, who actually got off Milburn. Milburn was just waiting for the ball to go long and high. He was actually going to leave Cloak out there and just become another player in the contest over the top of Rocker. So it was a good kick there by Lockyer.
Back to 2 goals. The attendance, the biggest since the '97 grand final. The biggest attendance of the MCG for 10 years, 98,002.
Buckley in for the centre bounce alongside Burns and Pendlebury.
98,002. Well, they counted you and I, Bruce, right at the end. Here's a chance for Burns. Wow, slipping over there was Ablett. Getting away is Swan. Here come the Magpies again. How often have they done this? Virtually on their knees. They get up, they dust themselves off, and they start all over again.
What happened there in the centre square? Geelong players just seem to fall over. It was a see Rocker now coming off the ground limping too. That's a bad sign for Collingwood. Bryan to replace him.
This to pull it back to just 6 points. Cloak at his 4th. And he misses. 11 points the difference, but a long way to go.
Well, Geelong can't protect it, Tim. They've got to win it. There are only 2 kicks in front. Collingwood will keep on coming. Well, he's close to the best man on the ground, isn't he?
You'd just keep going to him, wouldn't you?
The only thing that would stop him being best man on the ground is maybe the opposition, and Richards and Bryan not in the top tier of ruckman. Here he is again, Ottens. Corey doesn't get it out. Milburn, Ottens. Richards just got a hand up, couldn't quite. Enright's floating kick, okay. To Burns. So suddenly you feel like Geelong do need another goal just to give them some safety. Wakeland and Mooney. Mooney becoming more and more important. Wakeland's got him. That is a big play for Collingwood.
Advantage is paid. Pendlebury jogs away. Hits Swan just forward of the wing.
Be important against Swan.
25 possessions. Barely 15. Burns low down. Now a chance for Didak. Runs into an open goal. Gets it.
You just have to admire the plucky way that they go about their football, don't you? Here's the contest. That was a really good spoil there by Wakeland. Won the one-on-one contest, tied Mooney up, and then Pendlebury used the ball really well. And this kick here by Scotty Burns didn't hit its target. Bryan's gone to the goal square, but Didak just did the rest.
Two to Didak. Think of the last 3 Friday nights. Port Adelaide West Coast, Collingwood West Coast, Geelong Collingwood. Does it get any better than those 3?
Doesn't get any better than the AFL.
Back to a kick. Geelong challenged yet again. Ottens gets another possession. Kelly. Handball was good. Bartel's recovered. Probing kick inside. Well done, Mooney. Got rid of Wakeland. Chapman there and Harry O'Brien with him. It's been a good duel in the second half. Chappie kicked the important goal in this quarter, but O'Brien has been such a good defender tonight.
It's extraordinary to think that Collingwood have only gone inside their 50 37 times tonight.
Well, Richards slung out of it by Ottens. Fed it back towards Ling. Burns finds a way out. Corey, who's been terrific, 55 metres from goal. Poor kick, though. It wanders down towards the pocket. Wakeland carries it across the line. Boundary throw in.
I think that was his intention then, Dennis. He looked up the field. There was nothing breaking for him. But this is where Ottens has been really dangerous.
Boundary throw in the pocket. Bomber Thompson can't do much now. Ablett gets through. He can do plenty. Hooks it back. How about that? Kenneth the moment, Kenneth the man, the son of the man.
13 years ago, his father kicked one of the most famous goals in preliminary final history. Gary Ablett, the hand of God, remember, against the Kangaroos to win it. Well, the son of a gun gives them some breathing space. 10th clearance for the Brownlow medal favourite tonight. And Tim, don't know the answer to your question with Collingwood. Not sure. I reckon, Ricky, have a look on the bench. What legs do Collingwood have? Remember that West Coast trip last week? Held up by Ottens and also by Johnson.
There's plenty of time on the clock.
There, those legs being rubbed left, right and centre.
Ottens again into the path of Corey, sliding in. Maxwell played it brilliantly. So too Shaw, advantage will be paid. Kick from Lockyer towards half forward. Rusling. What a strong mark it was. Vice-like. Ghosting in from the side. Rusling has got two. They came in quick succession in the second term. He's 65 metres from goal. Sean Rusling towards the pocket. Swan will need to give a contest. He did. Waiting behind Rook. Barges his way through. Goes to Milburn. Plenty of options. Why not choose this man? Choose me, says Ablett. No support on though. Goes to Harley. Picked it up well. Milburn. Ling under pressure. Ablett's run on. If he can get through here, problems for Collingwood. Does the next best thing. Tried to go to Chapman. Slapped away by Shaw. Nathan Ablett comes in. Stops the footy. He in turn is grabbed by Maxwell. Ball trickles out. Burns tries to go back to Clement. Came to Burns. O'Brien. Deftly done. It was touched off the boot. Buckley lays it down into the path of Rusling, who's claimed immediately. Will this ball come out? No.
Great call, Dennis. 8 disposals for Ablett. Ricky, how does a Collingwood bench look and how does a Geelong bench look?
Well, you think with Geelong having the week off, they'd be a lot fresher, but I think Collingwood are running out this game well. There's a couple of boys come off with cramp. Anthony Rocker's one of those, but also Cam Mooney. So there are a few boys really feeling the pinch down here.
The problem Collingwood has got is the scoreboard. They're 2 kicks behind. Clement to centre wing. Shaw and Ottens, David and Geelong. Rusling at the back. Ablett couldn't quite get it away. And over the line. Now, if that disposal goes to Ablett, and I think it does, it's the 10th time this year he's had 30 disposals in a match.
After the boundary throw in, Bartel at the base of it.
No, he didn't. He was on his feet.
We'll have a ball up.
He was on his feet when he got the ball.
Buckley pleads his case.
So much must be running through his mind right now.
Will this be the last time we see him out there? Bartel has had 29 now. This could be a forerunner of Monday night.
Ottens has had 23 disposals and 6 clearances.
Locks up again with Richards. Taps it down. O'Brien stole it. Floats one towards half forward. Enright stood his ground. Rocker arrived gingerly and late. Just making that comparison. Either way you could go. Ablett with 30. Bartel with 29. Be they possessions or votes. Here's Hunt. Gets it from Milburn. Clock is down inside 5.5 minutes. Still ample time in this day and age. Hunt kicks it high towards the boundary. Bartel edged out of it. Good result for the Cats. It bounces out of bounds. Well, a few weeks ago, had an appendix. Now he doesn't. But he didn't lose any skill.
Goldsack, third man up. Corey. Ablett, Bartel and Corey again tonight. The ABC. Enright, clever to Stokes. 3 first quarter goals. And now Mackie to provide the run. Wide on centre wing. Collingwood have just got a man up here. They've got to stop the next kick. Chapman leads hard. O'Brien's got him. Not a bad result, I guess, for both teams, because Geelong are in attack, but Collingwood have got a chance at a stoppage.
He's done okay tonight too, O'Brien, on Chapman. Done a good job.
Blake. Bryan and Richards, they're both out there. Ling, well done. And then belts it forward. Mooney and Wakeland. Clement read it okay. Got a good bounce. Must use it here. Goes high, wide. Is it Hanson? Great contest by Bartel. Lockyer and Bartel. Still no free kick. Good umpiring. Great footy.
Well, that was wonderful by Jimmy Bartel. It was a great battle, but the numbers were against him, and possibly could have got a free kick there. That was a pivotal moment in Geelong's season. Ablett, Johnson, that's holding the ball. Brian put him down strongly. Johnson is hurt. He landed on his shoulder.
Play on yours.
That could be a tackle with repercussions regardless of the result. Brian's kick not good. Harley takes the mark on his chest. Stokes is breaking to the outer side. Chapman is running hard for him as well.
Johnson's off.
But he decides to hold it.
Play on. Play on.
Stokes told to play on. Goes back to Scarlett. A bit early for this. Scarlett to Enright. Mind you, of the clubs in the competition, Geelong possibly the best at running down the clock. Enright kicks beyond the wing. Ablett's the target. Had it punched away. Corey, wonderful again tonight. Stokes in the grasp. Burns backs off a would-be tackler. Nathan Ablett deftly, and the mark is taken by Stokes. He'll use a bit of clock here. The most important ingredient is not to feel self-conscious when you've got the footy. Some players get it and kick it immediately. Geelong are good at holding it up.
Stokes to half forward, and Wakeland has had a fascinating duel with Mooney. Had the better of him early, and then Mooney had the burst. A big burst it was. He put the Cats in front a couple of times. Shaw stretches the hamstrings of Lockyer. What a play here. Ablett to run him down. Lockyer's kept the ball bouncing, and Collingwood get it past the centre. Ricky Olorenshaw.
Just on Steve Johnson in that last contest, he actually got slung and hit his right shoulder into the ground. He's gone off the ground and getting assessed by the physio staff at the moment.
Ottens just gets rid of Brian.
He's just been able to do that all night, hasn't he? Just lay the ball down wherever he wants. He makes contact with the ruckman and then just pushes the ball where he wants.
Kelly probably should have got a free kick. Ablett, brilliant again, and then eludes Maxwell with a kick. Shaw, Burns, free kick. Thought just for a moment it might be 50 as he dropped the ball. Well, Collingwood can't afford to make a mistake. No. From this point on, everything they do must be spot on.
Look at this, 1 on 3.
Oh dear.
That's not spot on. Rook's handball nearly cut off. Bartel again. Well, you mentioned the Brownlow. I mean, you can't split them tonight, Ablett and Bartel.
No. First time he's got to 30 against Collingwood. His 30th possession as he goes down towards half forward. Lockyer taken across the line by Chapman. 2 hard nuts. Throw in. The attacking side of centre wing for the Cats. We can almost scent it now. Otten's knocked it down. Thomas stood up in the tackle. O'Brien over the top. Clark, punishing kick. Inside the forward 50. Rocker needs a mark. He's going to get a free kick, I think. Rocker.
Contact from the front. Got him in the head.
Will kick at goal. 1:17 remaining.
Here's the free kick. And that's against Harley coming back into the contest.
Wow, does he contact it?
Well, he contacted his arm in the contest. They've been pretty hot on that all night, the umpires. Rocker just can't take his kick.
So, Medhurst will take it. Not a bad result.
Hold on. What's Anthony doing?
Limping off.
He's going off. He's going off. He's going off.
He can't kick it.
He's going off.
He can't kick it.
There's a remarking of the mark too. Medhurst needs a coin like Tiger Woods to put it down quickly.
Paul, go back over the kick. I put the mark.
There's some shenanigans going on out there.
Is there a last sting in the tail here, Bruce?
Oh, Tim.
So Medhurst directly in front. This is the kick that is Rocker's, but it will be in the book if he kicks it. It is his 3rd goal, and the margin will be back to 5 points. He's got it.
Well, he's done his work tonight. He's kicked 3 goals. And now we'll see Geelong just put their numbers behind the ball. Already there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. They're pushing more numbers behind the ball. There'll be 9 players behind the ball for Geelong at this centre bounce, although we see Cameron Ling now just calling one of the other players in.
Gee, that had a bit of bend coming back, didn't it?
It had a lot of bend.
Can you believe the week that we've had the build-up and it's come down to 1 minute of footy?
Yep.
Is Nathan Buckley off the ground at the moment?
5-point ball game. Who gets the clearance? Geelong have stacked the back line. Could Collingwood do it? Pull off another miracle here. Burns. Lockyer. Caught in the tackle. Back to Burns. Mackey versus Aubrey. Aubrey just gets it out. O'Brien outnumbered. Radzinski. Brilliant. Running to Stokes. Gone. No free kick. Now Collingwood. And a boundary throw in. There is Buckley.
Ablett flattened in the middle too. Very slow to get up. So a throw in, 27 seconds to go. Ottens directs it down. Burns stood his ground, feeds a hand pass away. Lockyer, aided by a couple of good shepherds. Jimmy Bartell flew from behind, spoiled a teammate. Runs on, applies a strong tackle on Didak, and the ball is out of bounds. 5 points the difference. Collingwood need it clean from here. Ablett seems to be okay. Ottens, one decisive tap. No, he's beaten this time. Knocked down by Bryan, taken by Didak. It's inside the forward 50. Bartell is back. It's being held to him, I think. What a big call. Umpire will bounce it on the 50. Lives on for Geelong. The agony is there for all to see for Collingwood. What a remarkable game. How lucky we are. Last week, the week before, and again tonight. The parody of the AFL. Bruce, fantastic.
And the Cats become the first Victorian team to get into a grand final since Collingwood in 2003, and they do it by beating the Pies in an epic. So we saw one captain a moment ago. Shane Wakeland's almost completely and utterly overcome. Let's go down to the other captain, Tom Harley with Ricky.
Tom, amazing atmosphere down here, isn't it? Oh, it's awesome. I have to admit, I looked up at the score and saw 98,000, and what a game. Oh, I don't know what to say, gee whiz. Is it more relief now you've made the grand final, or is it's just an utter excitement at the moment? Oh, I mean, have a listen. It's just, it's fantastic. We'll enjoy this. But, you know, we'll go to work tomorrow morning and focus on next week. And, you know, we're on a mission this year, so we'll see how we go. It's all systems go. Collingwood really tested you, didn't they? They were fantastic. You know, they obviously coached really well, threw everything at us. And they're a club with a great future and a great set of support. So, you know, that Collingwood army came in. Gee whiz, that was loud. Yeah, well played tonight, mate. Good luck next week. Cheers, Tom.
So the champ, Nathan Buckley, congratulating the opposition. The Cats, 18 out of 19 into their first grand final for 12 years. It's been a long time since they've won one. 53 years they've won one grand final. Their last was back in 1963. Let's go to Andrew Mackie.
Andrew, as a young bloke, this must be a great moment in your footy career.
Yeah, it is. It's it. So far, it's the best thing that's happened to me, and we're one win away now, and just to all our supporters coming out today, and to get us over the line, it's just great.
Collingwood really took it up to you, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. It's full credit to them. They're coming over from the west, and then they've just pushed us all the way with the young side. They're going to be a great side, and we're pretty happy to get over the line.
The job's not done yet.
No, that's it. We've got one more win, and we'll be putting everything into it. Don't worry about that. So it'll be good.
We'll keep it up. Good luck next week. Cheers, Andrew.
Well, he won a Norm Smith medal here in a losing grand final against Brisbane, Nathan Buckley. And tonight, this is such a tough defeat for him to swallow. Played a great game. He's an AFL legend, isn't he, without a premiership. And who knows, Tim, whether he'll come again next year. You sort of hope he will in a way, don't you?
Well, you do, because you don't like to see the champions disappear from the game either, but this may be his last game. Hasn't been prepared to talk about it publicly, but I don't know whether he's just sort of soaking it in for one last time as he walks off the ground or not, but he has been and always will be forever a legend of the game.
He had a good look around when he was walking off, didn't he? So the Cats bond.
Just renewing their vows there, Bruce.
And you just wonder. Could a King or an Egan get back next week? There will be decision time at Geelong. Okay. Well, Brad Otten's played in a prelim final for Richmond a few years back and they got smacked. Tonight he's in a winning preliminary final.
Feeling obviously with the win.
Oh, it is. It's amazing, mate. This is why we play footy for things like this, and it's just great. They tested us and we responded and we won. So it was fantastic. It's a huge effort by everyone.
Yeah, well, Collingwood took up to you, but your class really shone out towards the end.
It did. Yeah, I think they obviously heavy legs, and that was always going to be tough for them into a tight game like this. But to our credit, we just responded and got up. So it's fantastic. We've got a big week ahead.
Oh, we're getting over the boys, mate. Good.
Thanks, Ricky. So for 21 of these players, a chance to play in their first grand final next week. They'd had the lot at the G tonight. We won't forget this in a long, long time. Geelong by 5 points over Collingwood.